What's going on? I am Nando.
And I am DJ.
And I am Diggins.
And this is Mostly Nitpicking, a podcast where every week we pick apart a piece of pop culture by looking exclusively at the details. Woohoo!
Woohoo!
Woo, yeah, hooray!
Was there ever a thing more exclusively detailed than this? A movie about a thing that you only look at the details of. You know? That's something, huh?
Yeah, I think so. But I think for some of the things for the better, right? You know, I think overall you can look at the details of this movie and be like, you know what? There's some good details in there. There's some not so great, but there's some good details.
Definitely.
And we don't always get that, especially recently. I feel like we've had a rough go of it recently, you know, just with the movies that we've been reviewing, nitpicking and whatnot.
Yeah, kind of. There have been weird, detail-less movies that are all a bunch of nonsense, So this isn't that necessarily. It's not that, though. It's a lot. It's some nonsense and then some not nonsense. That's all you need.
Just the right amount of nonsense.
Yeah. How have everybody's weeks been?
This is a good week. Good week. Getting some nicer weather.
Oh.
If you want to talk about the most, but everyone just doesn't know what to talk about. They go right to weather.
Yeah.
They're like, and it's like,
but it is important. Why? There's lots of weather happening,
Yeah, but people don't bring it up because it's important. They bring it up because they're bored.
But it is the most exciting thing. Like, it's not just that weather is exciting. Like, it's not like weather is boring. It's like there's fucking outside. It's different every day. Like, that's weird. You know?
You know what? You want me to talk about something exciting, and this is going to be weird little DJ goes on a tangent that only DJ and four other people care about, but talking about exciting, let's talk about the fucking New York Knickerbockers, baby!
Oh, the Knicks.
They are at 500. They were above 500. They're at 500. Currently the 6th seed, but it's fluctuating. You'd be the 2 through 9 seeds all within like one win of each other. And they're going to make the playoffs, and they're going to make the Milwaukee Bucks look like a damn fool when they beat them in the playoffs. I tell you, these Knicks, we got Julius Randle. We got R.J. Barrett. We got Derrick Rose, even though it's the year 2021, still, this team is ready to go, baby. And I am a long time loyal New York Knicks fan, I am so excited. So, yeah, it's been awesome.
After years and years of struggling, they're finally kind of average.
Yeah.
Please. No one had these expectations for them. It's all house money, baby. It's all gravy. We'd be lucky if the Knicks won 20 games this season. Oh, but they're good, man. They are legit. G-O-O-D, good. And New York's loving it, baby. The Nets, Brooklyn, who? Just nobody. The Knicks will always be number one in New York. I don't care what the Knicks with Kyrie Irving and James Harden and Kevin Durant, that fucking pathetic sack of shit. I don't care, man. I don't care. The Knicks are the story, baby.
Well,
I'm just saying, you're talking an awful lot of smack for a team that's still owned by that guy who will ruin it always.
That's true.
Look, we're not talking about him. We are not talking about Mr. Dolan. He's staying out of the way.
You never talk about Mr. Dolan until he does the thing that ruins the team.
Well, he hasn't so far, so I'm loving it, baby. I'm loving it. It's a well-oiled machine, coached by my man Tom Thibodeau. Let's go, baby.
Do you think that the team is different now because the soul that was sabotaging them up in heaven or whatever is now on Earth eating pizza? I forgot what happened.
It's possible.
Soul.
Are you talking about like a reverse Space Jam situation where they got like powers imbued to them by like a new inhabitant or something like that?
Well, I'm thinking like the way in Soul the thing was actively sabotaging them, so now it is no longer doing that.
I forgot they made that exact reference.
The Knicks, now she's on Earth, or he, or whatever. I guess it's Amy Poehler, so whatever. But that Soul 20 whatever, spoilers for Soul, a movie that was on Disney Plus, and also the spoilers don't really matter. Spoiler alert, the soul doesn't go to hell or get stuck in limbo forever. The child soul, it doesn't, right. The ending isn't terrible. But what happens to Joe? Who knows? But the little baby soul that's mean to the Knicks, it's not up there anymore.
That's true.
So now all their shots are going in.
Yeah. I think it's Tina Fey, by the way. Not to nitpick you.
No, it could be.
I don't want that. I know they're basically the
interchangeable as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, as far as the Golden Globes are concerned.
Apparently. I did not. Did you watch DJ Diggins?
No. I caught the
No,
highlights.
never.
I saw Mr. Daniel Kaluuya got tech issues screwed, so that's unfortunate, but happens, obviously.
Anybody
some funny
stupid
stuff
win?
on the internet. But,
Anybody good win?
Catherine O'Hara won for Schitt's Creek. That was cool. Yeah, I mean, like Daniel Kaluuya won for Judas and the Black Messiah, so that's cool. But yeah, I didn't follow super closely. I truly think the Golden Globes are a joke.
Yeah.
I think they're the jokiest of jokey awards. As far as all award shows are kind of a joke, the Golden Globes.
Listen, the Golden Globes
joke.
of all. The Golden Globes of all awards shows are the only ones where it's a pretty open secret that you just literally have to bribe your way to a victory.
Yeah, that it's just the Hollywood Foreign Press Association wants to meet famous people in person, so they created an award to hang out with them, and now they can't even do that. Ha 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 ha. If the justice has come in some way from the pandemic, it's that the Hollywood Foreign Press Association didn't get to hang out with Jason Sudeikis and Anna Taylor-Joy this year. That's what you get.
Sacha Baron Cohen won. That's cool, right? He beat Lin-Manuel.
Yeah!
So, like, that's cool.
He's a pretty good
Not
singer.
that Lin-Manuel lost, but it's like I didn't expect Sacha Baron Cohen to... You figure Lin-Manuel, like, he was made to win a Golden Globe.
What would it have been for?
We discussed. For Borat.
No, what would Lin-Manuel's award have been?
No, Lin-Manuel was nominated for Borat.
Oh
Didn't
my
you
god,
see Borat 2?
It was so good. He was those two hillbilly guys, like QAnon and stuff. Yeah, no, but what would he have been? Is it actor
It was
or
for
director?
Hamilton. For like being Mr. Hamilton.
For being the best actor in Hamilton.
Yeah.
He couldn't even win that award in the cast of Hamilton. What an insane pick!
Wow.
He's not the best actor in that show. Not even close. So yeah, no, that's justice, if anything. Did Borat's daughter get anything? She was cool. Did they all forget about her?
I'm not sure, to be honest.
Nah, that's
like I said, I only know dribs and drabs.
well, that's the thing. The Hollywood Foreign Press Association doesn't care about the non-famous types. They give your Hamiltons the award so that they can hang out with Hamilton, even though the other guy from Hamilton's better. Anyway, we should do an award show.
Oh, the nitpickies?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
potties?
So, the potties must already exist in some form, right?
I know.
We should do the nitpickies. I don't know what the awards would be.
I don't know.
We kind of already do we just don't call them the nitpickies. That's basically what our retrospective was at the start of the year.
Yeah, but if we do it as an award show, we can invite the people and hang out with them. You see, we should do this as a scam like the Hollywood Foreign Press Association does, but ours is acted like it's clearly a scam.
I can meet Mr. Fortnite.
Yes.
And tell him that his game is doomed.
That's right.
Boy, was I wrong.
He'll be like, "Huh? I'm sorry. If you have less than $1 million, I literally can't even hear you."
Or 1 million V-Bucks. I don't know how many V-Bucks are Fortnite. I know that's the Fortnite currency.
Oh, have you guys heard, not to go on like a tangent, but like I kind of wanted to talk about this, and I don't know where it fits in, but hey, we're here.
If there's one thing this podcast would never do, it's go on a tangent.
Yeah.
Have you heard of Top Shot?
I have.
Diggins, have you heard of this?
No.
It's fascinating.
So it's like, for basketball, it's like the new kind of trading card, but instead of a like trading card like you would think of like a baseball trading card, it's like a YouTube highlight of like a LeBron dunk or something like that. And like it's from a specific game. So, and you like own the highlight?
Yeah.
Like you and several other people own the highlight.
What?
Diggins, here, I'm gonna. You asked yourself a question. I'm gonna help you.
Is this cryptocurrency?
Yeah, I was
Is
gonna
this a
say,
cryptocurrency?
Imagine the most bullshit version of this. How is it powered? What powers it? The blockchain. You're here again, blockchain. Yeah.
Oh, cool. If there's one thing I hate, it's the environment. So we should make everything crypto.
I mean, this is at least like better than Bitcoin because its true purpose and value are just for bullshit. Like, there's nobody that's like, this is going to be a method of exchange in the future. It's like, I want to make money, so I'm going to destroy the internet, or I'm going to destroy the wildlife so that I can mine more basketballs or whatever. I don't know. I do think there's a pretty limited amount of them.
Yes.
Like,
so there's only a certain amount per like highlight, and the lower your serial number, like the more valuable it is. So you have to like bid on them.
That's right.
And try to get them. And then once it's like the thing with Bitcoin, like once for that one highlight is sold, they're gone.
Yes.
Now, what I'm wondering is, everything that's been sold so far, the highlights are like garbage highlights, like none from playoff games. They're all random ass games with no consequence, and people are dropping like thousands of dollars for them. What happens when they get like Michael Jordan dunks, or like Larry Bird plays, or like like old basketball plays that there's going to be worth like a lot of money, like it's
or the All-Star game of the Looney Tunes versus the Monstars?
Oh,
I mean, those highlights are going to go for millions.
Won't that make all of this like worth garbage? Like I don't understand how this is like a sustainable market. Like I'm worried people are gonna do the game stonk thing and just lose all their money on this stuff.
Well, I mean,
DJ,
yes.
like Bitcoin, it isn't a sustainable market.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
the secret.
I imagine, I don't want to tell any tales out of school or like accuse anyone of anything. This seems like a great way to launder money. If you were like, if you were using it to launch, like, oh, I'll buy this thing for $1 billion and then sell it to my friend, and then you'll sell it, and yeah. So I that part of it will always have value.
Here's the thing, like Bitcoin, the key is that it's legal to steal it.
That's right.
There's no recourse. You can't go to the cops and be like, someone stole my Bitcoin. And you're like, that thing that has no value according to the government? Sorry.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. I never considered that. That if I like steal your Bitcoin, it's like, that's it.
Right. So what I'm saying is, if you feel like you've been locked out of the Top Shot economy, just go steal somebody's. You can't get in legal trouble. That's my advice.
The problem,
go do what is not technically a crime.
The problem with it is, like, because my friend told me about this, I was like, that's interesting, and I was like, I'll buy a pack, just so I can have it, because who the fuck knows, right? Maybe this will be worth billions of dollars, or I kind of want to see what it's like. You can't buy the packs, like they just don't exist. You can't, like, so they, there's nothing. It doesn't. You can't do it. But,
yeah, that is like. Slightly problematic. Also, like, you can't get your money out, and you can only withdraw in like $100 increments.
Oh, really? That's funny. That's really funny.
So,
yeah, it's fantastic.
No one do Top Shot. I'm looking out for you. Don't do Top Shot.
Unless you're like a Russian oil billionaire trying to buy some hotels or whatever, then this is probably exactly what you need.
All right, let me see if I can do this. Speaking of things with questionable value and an uncertain future, Godzilla 2014. Did I do it? Did I do it?
How dare you say that Godzilla has an uncertain future? That big lizard will live in my heart forever.
How about this?
Maybe this specific franchise.
How about this? Speaking of CGI things that destroy the environment, Godzilla 2014 is here.
Nando is a consummate professional at these. He's so good at these.
Speaking of things much like cryptocurrency and nonsense like this that are going to make Las Vegas obsolete, Godzilla 2014 is here. Speaking of something probably from Japan that's going to be here in a year, Godzilla is here. That sounds like I don't know, Top Shot. I guess Top Shot's probably for America because they don't have the NBA there. But seems like the kind of thing that Pokemon cards would start and then would make its way off. Oh my God, can you imagine Pokemon ones of these?
Oh, Pokemon Top Shot, that would be...
Yo.
Like, we're like 10 years off from the Pokemon cryptocurrency. Nintendo's slow on the uptick on this stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
There's also, because there's also been art this week. That was a thing.
Oh, God.
Yeah. I know, crypto art is a new hot thing. So, yeah, there's lots of that in the world. Anyway, Godzilla 2014. Guys, this movie.
Yes.
It's part of our March to Godzilla,
Mm-hmm.
And
because it's the month of March.
Yeah, it's the month of March, and it is Godzilla v. Kong's month, baby. It's happening. They're finally making this dang movie.
Well, they made the dang movie. They're just releasing it now.
That's true. That is true.
They're finally showing us the dang movie. Excuse me. They're finally showing us the dang movie.
That's right. And to understand it, because it's so complicated, we have to watch all of these ones before we see that. So we got here's who we're gonna we're doing Godzilla 2014, which is that's this one. We still have to do Kong Skull Island, but then also there's the movie, the one Raya and the Last Dragon, and also there's the Snyder Cut. So we might not get to Kong Skull Island.
And there's WandaVision. Like we might have to put out a poll.
Yeah.
Like we may have to do a poll just to ask the people what they want.
Maybe we can do a double header of like Kong Skull Island and this or something. Or like not in this, but in WandaVision or something like that. I don't know.
I mean, the last time we tried to do a doubleheader, it became its own episode. Remember The Mandalorian? We're like, we'll do it as a preview, and then it became its own episode.
No,
Spent, like,
Mandalorian was a preview. It was DC fandom.
Yeah,
that
that's
its own
the
episode.
problem.
Oh.
We'll figure it out. Anyway, Godzilla 2014 is a movie that is on the list.
And we watched it.
We did. We watched it.
We're here, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can read podcast titles. This one happened.
It did happen, and we all watched it. I don't think I saw this at a theater, actually. I think I saw this not for the first time now, but for the first time at home. What about you two? Where were you with Godzilla 2014? You saw it in theaters?
I saw it in a movie theater.
I bet
I think
that's
I might
better.
have seen it twice in a movie theater.
That makes sense. Yeah.
I was pretty excited to see my big chunky boy in the big screen, and I was not disappointed.
I wanted to see that dump truck ass on the big screen.
Yeah, baby.
And you did.
With his cankles. Ugh. Just love him.
Well, guys, first of all, is Godzilla him?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how Godzilla
Canon.
identifies. Has anyone asked?
Well, I don't know. I mean,
Godzilla, canonically male. This is not a joke.
Oh.
Okay. I mean, I feel like he is always the pronoun for Godzilla. So.
I feel like there was a point where we all had to go like, well, actually, Godzilla's a woman according to this thing, but I don't think it was because of this. Maybe it was because of the cartoon? I don't remember. But it was a whole internet nonsense furor. But King Kong's definitely a boy as well. Have there ever been girls? I guess Mothra's supposed to be a female, right?
Mothra is specifically female, yes.
Yeah.
And in this movie,
That's
get
true.
one
We
of
got a
the
female in
MUTOs.
here. Representation. Yeah. Look at how we went backwards, honestly.
Think other explicitly female Godzilla monsters. I think Biolante might have been female.
Either way, Godzilla in this is a male, maybe. And it is this is 2014's Godzilla, directed by Gareth Edwards, who made that movie Monsters, and then this, and then he made some of Rogue One before Disney took it away. I don't know what he's been up to since then.
He should be making more of these.
But he's not.
Maybe. He seems like a relatively competent general director.
I'm not sure what he's done since Rogue One.
I don't think anything.
I'm looking it up right now.
That's what I like to see. Nothing?
There are no director credits after Rogue One.
Oh,
Wow.
Maybe Monarch got him. Maybe he's part of Monarch
Maybe.
now. If he isn't before, he should be, because he is the guy behind this movie, and they made a movie where you could barely see the monsters because the movie was about immigration, called Monsters. And now they did that with this, except the movie was about nothing, but you could barely see the monster. But also you kind of, you saw things around the monster. So
In February 2020, it was reported that Edwards was set to direct and write an untitled science fiction project for New Regency, along with Rogue One co-producer Kiri Hart serving as producer for the project. That is all we know about what he's up to now.
all right, I'll take it. Will it take place exclusively at night?
Possibly.
Now we're talking. That's a Gareth Edwards joint, if you ask me. His movie stars. You guys remember what the main character's name is? This is oh man.
Oh, it's Ford.
Ford Brody. How is this guy not in a Transformers movie?
Yeah.
Ford and Cade got in Optimus Prime and rode off. See, Sir Aaron Taylor Johnson, Quicksilver 1 as Ford Brody. Bryan Cranston as Joe Brody, hot off of Breaking Bad. I think this is probably his first big role, not necessarily after Breaking Bad, but after everyone had discovered him from Breaking Bad. He was in all the trailers, all the posters. We'll talk about it. Elizabeth Olsen, WandaVision's own as Elle Brody.
As wife.
As wife, yeah.
She is wife.
Scream wife. And then a bunch of others, a veritable cast of characters. the two highlights, I would say, yeah, you know what, 3. Paddington's mom, Sally Hawkins, is in here. David Startharain from Jason Bourne, the guy who's like, we got to get Jason Bourne. He plays Admiral William Stens. And then, of course, Ken Watanabe as Dr. Ichiro Serizawa. Guys, what do you think the IMDb summary for this movie is? This is a weird one.
God,
I'll give you...
There's so many directions this could go.
I know. I'll give you a hint. It's pretty short. It's like...
Okay.
It's one sentence that's like two clauses,
like
kind
a
of.
Ron
There's not too
sentence?
much.
Like...
Yeah, it's not like one gigantic sentence. It's one expectedly sized sentence. Like it's yeah.
Okay. All right.
Who wants to go first? I can't remember who won last time.
Diggins won last week.
All right, then Diggins, you get to choose.
I think I went first last time, so I'm going to make DJ go first this time.
Very good.
Okay.
All right, DJ, give me a IMDb description for Godzilla 2014.
Okay. After two monsters awaken amid the destruction of a nuclear power plant, humanity must team up with Godzilla so he can destroy the monsters before they destroy the world. I don't love that. But
Diggins?
that was trash.
The world is rocked by the emergence of two strange monsters rampaging across the Pacific, and their only hope is another monster by the name of Godzilla.
Okay. I'm going to read it to you, and you guys guess who won.
Okay.
The world is beset by the appearance of monstrous creatures, but one of them may be the only one who can save humanity. So yeah, it's Diggins. That opening was right on. Like
I was so close.
You were. The problem with yours, not problem, but the way yours kind of veered off was if you had said 3 monsters instead of 2, as if to, lump Godzilla in with the MUTOs, then I think you would have landed where this one landed. But you were talking about the MUTOs, and then Godzilla had to show up in that second part of the sentence. But DJ, yours wasn't bad. You mentioned the humanity, monstrous creature,
bad.
Humanity, the world. But yeah, Diggins was very good.
He always wins, man. You're great at transitions. Diggins is great at the summaries. And all I have to say to that is game recognized game.
There you go. DJ's the dog walker of the group, as we all know.
DJ's like, damn, I've got a house and a wife who loves me, and that's all I've got in my life.
I don't even have a house, so hold up there, Skippy.
Yeah, Skippy.
Okay.
Speaking of skipping, I don't know, man. Let's talk about this movie.
In this movie?
Let's skip right to the end of this movie where it... this movie... Okay, Godzilla 2014. I would say it got a pretty solid reception from the people. Like the not even just fans, but just general kind of audiences. I don't know. What were your guys'... Not like opinions on it, but what were your reads on it originally? It's like... pretty popular, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I think its original reception, I would say, was on the good side of average. Like, people didn't think it was incredible, but they generally liked it.
And has your opinion of it changed since last you saw it? Or first you saw it, excuse me.
For me, no.
Yeah, no, my opinion hasn't changed.
Okay. All right, well, let's talk about this. Guys, what do we think of Godzilla 2014? We'll start with Diggins since he won. Did you...
I did win.
Yeah, what were your thoughts?
So when I first saw it, and then also now watching it again, and I also said this on a previous podcast, so it's not much of a surprise, I think this movie's pretty good. I like it. It definitely has its problems, which we'll get into. But overall, I enjoy the kind of sense of tension it creates of teasing the appearance of these monsters and also really focusing on how terrifying it is just to be near them. Not in the sense of like, oh no, Godzilla's going to eat me, but in the sense of they're so big that just them standing there creates effects that could kill you. Which I think is an interesting, like, if you're going to focus on the humans of a giant monster movie, I think that's an interesting angle to take. And then also, when this movie was criticized by some for its lack of monster fighting action, which I understand. And it definitely, I think it probably could have used a little more than it has. But I think when it does get to that monster fighting action, it's really good. So overall, I'm fairly positive on this movie. I could have used less military propaganda, but other than that...
How dare you, Diggins? This one's for our boys. I salute it.
Yeah, boys in blue and green.
That's true. DJ,
Camo,
what about you?
whatever.
What did you think of Godzilla 2014?
My comments mostly echo Diggins's. I actually think my opinion has increased with this movie over time. Couple reasons. One, I think especially after rewatching Godzilla 98, like, they do a very good balance of, like Diggins said, having the tension be there, creating a lot of stakes, and I don't think it's actually an easy thing to do with these just like kind of Godzilla movies. The scale of everything is so great and immense, and especially after watching King of Monsters, which we've gone over, I just think is utter trash.
And you're right.
I think they do such a good job of like having this scale where it's like, whoa, will Godzilla win? Is Godzilla gonna be able to do this? These MUTOs are really powerful. And you know, at the end, you're kind of questioning what the outcome's gonna be. You know, especially with all the kind of MacGuffins going on. And I like it. I think the performances are, like, Aaron Taylor Johnson is just there to be military boy, like, which he is, and that's fine. I think Bryan Cranston gives like an inspired performance, especially for like a Godzilla movies, when some of these movies, you know, have known, especially the old ones, to be kind of hokey. So yeah, like, I actually think in terms of like an action movie, and a movie featuring this like terrifying monster Godzilla, I think it does a really good job. So yeah, I think this movie is actually great, and kind of like underestimated how good it was at the time. Just kind of seeing how, oh my god, this shit can spin out of control real fast in a bad way. So yeah, really like this movie.
Wow. Okay.
Oh, and for me, more military propaganda, please. I would like more. So yeah,
That's only
So
because
we're
they
all clear.
write your checks.
Well, yeah, man. Come on.
I mean, I want more military propaganda in my Godzilla movie if I'm getting any. I'll take a Godzilla movie with no military propaganda, but I'd also like a movie where we outfit Godzilla with a little helmet and like a gun, and he goes and shoots the, you know, like.
Oh, so Nando, you want? Let me look up the year here.
Oh no.
Hold on. You want 1993's Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla.
That's right.
Nice.
Where Mechagodzilla is a giant human piloted mech built off of the bones of the original Godzilla.
Yeah, kind of. What I want is what I believe Jurassic Park 4 was supposed to be before they changed it and like went in a different direction, where it was going to be human Godzilla or human dinosaur hybrids that carried weapons and fought for the government. Like, I want a Godzilla-sized gun that Godzilla can hold. And we give it to him, and he looks at us, and we salute him, and then he salutes us and picks up the gun and goes off to war with the MUTOs. That's what I want. But for what we got, listen, this movie is okay. It's fine. It's definitely the best one, but I don't think I really liked it that much.
Oh, of the legendary movies, yeah, no question. This is the best one.
It's the best one of the legendary movies.
Yeah.
I think it's better than King Kong. Yeah, probably. I don't think it has as much. It's not as fun as King Kong, but it's tough. I think it's tough to compare Godzilla and King Kong movies in general because of how different they are. Like, it'd be like comparing the Fast and Furious movies to like Drive. They're not the same. They're not going for the same kind of thing. They're going for similar stuff, but where King Kong is supposed to be like, not always, but sometimes kind of pulpy action, and this is very like, you know, cool, big, giant explosions. I don't know. I think this movie has a couple of big problems that will definitely keep it, in my opinion, from being great. I think the parts of this movie I liked a lot. I think the problem, like the big problem, is the whole part that wasn't Godzilla.
The military propaganda.
Yeah, but I think you could do better military propaganda with a better military character. Because I've seen movies with military propaganda that I quite like. and it's just because the characters are fun and interesting and like have personalities and there's stakes related to them. I think
so. I was talking about this a little bit off mic, but I feel like I'm saying this specific, not just because I think military propaganda is bad, which I do, but because it feels like the specific directions the imperative of including military propaganda took the script of this movie are the things that weakened it. Which, maybe we'll get into as we talk about it. But I don't mean it just specifically in the sense of like, man, they shouldn't have had all this military propaganda. I mean, specifically in the sense of it feels like the decisions that they made because the Pentagon gave them a bunch of money are the problems with this movie.
Well, that's why we need to invent guns for Godzillas. Save them, like make them military. You know what? Let's make a Godzilla-sized gun that we manufacture in West Virginia, okay? But it has to be made by minimum wage standards because it makes about as much sense as all the tanks we make that no one wants. And then
for the F-35, the best jet of all time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then the military will be like, well, we got to make the people love our Godzilla gun. Let's make a Godzilla movie where he uses the gun. Either way, yeah, I don't hate this movie. I do not care for it. In terms of like would I watch it or not watch it? If I had the choice, I'd probably not watch it. I think I was able to before I even saw the movie, watch all the highlights and get it and enjoy it. But I also think I didn't see this in a theater. I'm sure I'd like it a little bit more if I saw it in a theater. I think I'd still be checking my watch every time a certain Taylor Johnson type comes on screen. But otherwise, you know what? It wasn't bad. I wish a single scene took place during the day, but hey, what are you going to do? I don't know. It's what it is. What did we think of? What you guys think of the Godzilla? Because that's the whole thing, right? Like,
what I think of the Godzilla design?
Yeah.
I love the chunky boy.
Yeah, I think this is a fine Godzilla. I like this Godzilla.
I do too. I think he's very... He's got a lot going on in terms of like... He's just really big. I don't know.
He was, at the time, the biggest Godzilla ever.
Have we gotten bigger?
Yeah, the anime movies that got made in partnership with Netflix, that Godzilla is enormous, comically huge. He's the biggest non-animated Godzilla ever, I think. I don't think Shin Godzilla is bigger. Although Shin Godzilla is... If you want to have like the classic nerd argument of who would win in a fight, Shin Godzilla is OP.
See, I still haven't watched that, and I really am meaning to. I have it on my computer, so don't spoil it necessarily. But also, like, I've had my time.
No,
so
I won't say anything past that. But I am pulling up the Godzilla size comparison chart, the official canon one that they made. Yes, 2014 Godzilla is a little bit taller than Shin Godzilla, and is still the tallest non-animated Godzilla they've ever made.
Nice.
Do you think, does Godzilla get bigger? Like, does the Godzilla grow between movies in these movies? That's a complicated question, Nando.
Mm-hmm. Not every Godzilla in every movie is the same Godzilla.
That makes sense.
Not only in the sense of because the first Godzilla ever is dead, and he dies in the first movie, and he never comes back.
Oh.
The Godzilla in most of the older movies is the second Godzilla.
Oh.
But then in the 80s, there was a kind of reboot to the whole thing, and then it gets more complicated, and I don't think I could reliably explain exactly what's going on there. But suffice it to say that there have been several Godzillas in the canon of the movies over the years. Shin Godzilla is kind of an alternate continuity and is not related to all the other Godzillas. Same with this Godzilla. He's not related to the Japanese Godzillas at all. Also true of the anime Godzilla. But otherwise, they do keep a more or less consistent timeline through the Japanese movies. Although it gets sketchy.
So then, like, between this and the King of Monsters movies, they're about the same size. Like, there's no significant Godzilla growth, you know?
I don't think so. I think that the Godzilla in King of the Monsters is the same size. Kong grows a ton between Skull Island and Kong versus Godzilla.
Yes.
Because Kong in Skull Island is nowhere near as big as Godzilla.
Because he's a baby.
I guess. Part of me was wondering if Godzilla
That's their
deflated when he exploded last time and he's just smaller. Like, because he, at the end of God's, whatever it's called, King of Monsters, he, like, just does a big nuclear bomb, and I don't know if we see the remains, but I could imagine that, like, Godzilla is just, like, 20 feet tall and runs away embarrassed back into the ocean to hang out in the hollow earth.
That movie does what I wish every movie would do and just obliterate Boston at the end of the movie.
Oh, my God.
That's part of that.
Anyway, Godzilla, King of Monsters was bad. But okay, yeah, so I could see a world where Godzilla, instead of Kong getting bigger, Godzilla gets smaller. But I would also imagine Godzilla has to eat, and maybe he runs out of food. Maybe he just, goes on a real heavy diet. I don't know.
Well, these Godzillas just eat radiation, don't they?
That's
in this
true.
continuity.
Yep.
But,
and I love the way they get around that, where it's like, yes, the world used to be 10 times more radioactive, so that's how it started.
Wait, but so currently Godzilla is doing what? Like, to eat?
Godzilla mostly lives in the water, deep under, in the hollow earth, where it's way more radioactive.
Yeah,
Right,
near the planet's core.
okay.
That's, like, where he hangs.
That makes sense.
And then we go there in King of the Monsters.
Which is, that movie.
It's a bad movie.
Great movie.
Awful.
This movie is about Godzilla's, like, it's not really an origin story for Godzilla. It's an origin story for, like, Godzilla in the sense that, like...
interacting with humanity,
Yeah, it's the first time he shows up.
It's an origin story for a Legendary Studios Monsterverse.
Yeah. It's a
right.
Monarch. Well, it's not even a Monarch origin story, because that's what the next one is. But, yeah, it's a lot of stuff. What did you think of... So we like the Godzilla design. What did we think of the Bryan Cranston design? That wig, doing a lot of work. Less believable than the giant Godzilla on screen somehow.
I really like Bryan Cranston in this movie. I'll say it. I think fucking awesome performance in this movie. Treasure.
I don't think anyone disagrees with you, DJ. I think another aspect of the Bryan Cranston appearance in this movie is what everyone doesn't like.
Yeah, exactly.
What, the wig? Or
now that part where he dies.
DJ.
Or how he's not in the movie mostly.
Spoiler.
Oh,
the part
yeah,
where 40 minutes into the movie he dies and isn't in it anymore.
Yeah, that's quite unfortunate. I wish they didn't do that. It would have been cool if he could have interacted with the Doctor more. Instead, we get fucking Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Yeah, right out of Tenet.
Yeah.
Just put me on a flak jacket and point me in the direction of the weird thing, guys. I'll take care of this.
The thing,
Wait, I'm sorry. Oh, right.
The thing about that decision is, like, they kill... Bryan Cranston dies, and then the movie kind of shifts focus, sort of, like, becomes deuteragonist, the vague melange of monarch and military, and Aaron Taylor Johnson being the two viewpoints.
Yeah.
And the thing about that decision is that not only does Bryan Cranston die, but also the entire conflict he represented with his son dies, and his son has nothing to do but be cool military man.
Yeah.
Do you think it was because of Breaking Bad or, like, just filming stuff? He was like, I can't do the whole Godzilla movie, but if you can figure out a way to put me in about half of it, I'm down.
I think, and here's the first part of my hypothesis, it's because the Pentagon showed up with a dump truck full of money and says one of your main characters has to be a cool military man. So instead of sticking with the science team and bonding with his dad and doing all that stuff, they had to get Aaron Taylor Johnson to go be a cool military man. And they're like, well, how do we rewrite this to make this work? Guess we got to kill the dad. Otherwise, why would he leave?
That's fair. Also, the dad was trying to expose secrets and, hunt down some sort of evil government something or other. So it's like, consequences have to be set up. Otherwise, everyone would. Another part
of this theory is that it really feels like the first draft of this screenplay, the military were the bad guys.
Yeah.
And they just kind of
still are. Like, I really think...
No, DJ... They are still the bad guys, except the movie doesn't treat them like the bad guys.
Doesn't it, though? Doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it
No.
does.
Like, all of their decisions are bad. And, like,
Yes, but nobody has any blame for them. The movie doesn't treat them with any kind of blame or resentment. The main guy's always going like, I gotta look out for the millions of people who look to the good old military arm of the United States for protection because we're just such good guys. And then every single shot of the military is them doing cool ass shit.
Well,
there's one part where the military almost blows up a school bus full of kids, and Godzilla has to save the children because Godzilla loves children.
Godzilla is a friend of children. This is known.
Right. And so, yeah, I'm like, that's a bad look.
Yeah, it is. Guess what doesn't linger on that? The movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Like, there's no one to, like, hold them to account. Like, if Bryan Cranston's character was still alive, it'd be like, you military fucks. I mean, I would say that Ken Watanabe, I feel like he gets to tell the military what for. Be like, you idiots, we have no control.
He has the one thing of being like, hey, man, you shouldn't detonate a nuke. And then obliquely tells the dude his dad died at Hiroshima. And the guy has to awkwardly be like, oh, this time it's fine, though.
Yeah.
But then after that, the whole like last 45 minutes of the movie, the big conflict, besides the fact that there's big monsters, is that San Francisco is going to be detonated by a nuclear explosion because of the military. It's 1,000% their fault, and there's no reflection on that fact whatsoever in the entire movie. It's just like the military goes and solves the problem, and they're just treating it as like, well, this is the thing that happened that we just got to fix now because we're the military and we fix problems. And it's like, it's your problem. This is your fault. Is anyone going to even acknowledge that?
Well, I guess there's no one. There's like no one there to like tell the military like you're doing bad, because it's like weird, right? Like the beats of the movie where early on in the proceedings, the guy from the Navy is like, I'm Captain so-and-so. I've taken over operations here from Monarch. And that's always, like, the bad thing in the movie. Like, whenever someone from the government shows up, it's like, here's the villain. You know this is going to go wrong.
Well, but isn't that person in this movie like, but don't worry, you guys are still in charge?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, that the scene doesn't go down how it goes down in every other movie. This movie, it's like, this is just a procedural thing to explain, like, why the military is in the movie now. So, yeah, we're here.
This is what I'm talking about. It feels like there was an earlier draft of the screenplay where the military were, like, very explicitly the bad guys. Like, not the villains, per se, but the people who make bad decisions that make things worse that then the heroes have to clean up. And then the Pentagon showed up with their dump truck full of money, and they're like, you can have this, but we gotta get some hands on that script. And it got rewritten,
that, by the way.
So that all the military... This is my theory. This is not based on any knowledge of what happened with that movie. This is entirely my theory. I am not alleging that this actually happened. I'm just saying what it feels like happened. Pentagon shows up with their dump truck full of money and is like, you gotta get hands on that screenplay though. And then every bit of it that was like, the military's at fault here was rewritten to instead think the military's cool. But all the bones of it are still there, where they make bad decisions and it feels like they're supposed to be like kind of sinister, but then they're not. They're just not, because the movie decided that the military's cool. And this is what I'm talking about when I say I feel like the fact that this movie's full of military propaganda is part of the problem.
So I'm conflicted, because I agree that there's way too much like, hoorah, oh my god, the military's like so like awesome, even though I think the Halo jump scene is like legit cool. But like,
well, Halo jumps are cool. That's just a science fact.
For me as an audience member, I read a lot of this as like a fan of Godzilla in this movie. It's like, okay, Godzilla is the protagonist of this movie. I was reading a lot of stuff by like, military guys, you keep fucking up Godzilla's shit. If you leave Godzilla to do his thing and not get in the way, we'd be fine. You guys are incompetent and dumb. Stop getting in the way. Like, that's how I, as an audience member, read this. I understand that in the movie, no one holds them to account. And, you know, I guess it would be better if that did happen. But I feel like overall the tone isn't supposed to be, oh, yeah, the military's so cool.
Well, hold on a second. I think you could make I think, as someone watching the movie who is generally critical of the military and stuff, but, like, I feel like when Ken Watanabe is like, maybe it's balance and this is the universe correcting and Godzilla is going to help us, I wouldn't trust him for a second. Like, there's no way to... I feel like every move the military makes, while generally misguided, I kind of feel for them. Like, I'm like, yeah, you know what? You gotta try something. You can't just let them fight. That's an insane way to solve this problem. So, like, I don't think the military is painted all that negatively at all. I feel like the military's kind of mostly right. Like, I know they're not supposed to be, doing nukes and stuff, but also, like, I don't know. You gotta do something.
Yeah, I mean, it's the idea of, like, they have a plan that they're gonna stick to, that it's like, yeah, just fucking nuke it, and we'll hope the blast radius works. And then there's that part, right, where it's like, well, this is unfortunate, but we have to. And then there's, like, we're firing rockets at school buses. Like, there's civilians on this bridge, and they're like, nah, we gotta fire all this artillery at Godzilla. Even though, and this was, like, drives me crazy, right? Godzilla is so courteous in this movie.
Yeah.
There are points when he could run through those aircraft carriers, and he goes under them. He goes under the aircraft
goes under
carriers
one
as
of
to
them.
Not, I think he goes under most of them.
I think
He doesn't ram through any of them, put it that way.
Well, I think he
right?
ducks under one and then comes up under the other one. Like, the one our characters are on survived, but then the next one doesn't. I thought that was really funny.
No. They don't get destroyed. They just get very displaced.
Okay.
You see, they no one dies in that.
It's like a big wake. Right?
Gotcha.
He moves them a little bit aggressively, but, like, he could tear through them, and he doesn't. No one takes this as a sign of, like, maybe he cool. Maybe this guy is, like, not the villain we think he is. So yeah, I read that as the military just being the absolute worst. In that instance,
I think you're insane. Oh my god.
My point here is, if you look at the facts of what happened, DJ is correct. The military blindly fired a bunch of missiles at Godzilla for no reason that very easily could have hit a bridge full of civilians if not for Godzilla himself. That is what happened in the movie.
Absolutely.
But to borrow a phrase from prominent YouTuber Lindsay Ellis, the framing will supersede the text of the film in a viewer's mind. Always, always, always. And the military is not framed as bad in this movie. We are not given cues visually by how it presents the actions in this movie that would suggest to you that the military are supposed to be the bad guys of this movie. They are either treated neutrally or explicitly heroically, and at the very least, in all those situations, they're treated as being cool as hell. And so, if one thinks about the text of the situation, yes, you can be like, man, the military made a lot of bad decisions here. If one is just observing how things are framed throughout the movie, one is not given the impression that they are to blame for anything.
I will say, too, that I think there's a couple things that go on in these examples where, like, there's two ways to, like, frame how the military works. I agree, Diggins, that there's nothing in the movie that leads you to believe, like, oh my god, the military is so bad. But, like, I always feel like this shakes down in like, two ways. So, on the one hand, you have, like, the conference room with the military brass where they're just making, like, the worst decisions, and then you could have, like, the boys, the boots on the ground, who can overcome those decisions because they know the right thing to do, because, right, like, they're just given orders, right? And so, like, they're the real heroes because they have to endure it, and these guys in conference rooms are just making, like, insane decisions that don't make any sense. My problem is that this movie doesn't really make that distinction at all between, like, you know, the guys who are doing the grunt work and then Steins, whatever his name is, who's just, like, making autonomous decisions. Like, yeah, I think we'll nuke it. So I wish there was, like, more of that nuance. And that might have made the burden, like, a little less horrible, where it's like, see, like, there are parts of the military that it's like, where it's like nuance. It's like what these guys are doing is heroic, and what these, the brass are doing, like, sucks. But there's, like, that's not really in this movie at all. It's like, one unit.
I don't need the movie to think the military is bad. There's plenty of movies that are, like, totally military propaganda that I still like because they're good movies. What bothers me about it in this movie is it feels like that imperative to make sure the military is not framed as bad drains it of conflict that feels like it's supposed to exist in the narrative of the film. Where it feels like there's supposed to be some kind of, conflict between the Serizawa, Ken Watanabe's character, and Monarch, and all of them being like, here's what we should do, and military being like, we're going to blow it up with a nuke. I mean, don't use nukes is the most basic bones of the Godzilla franchise. The people who use a nuke in a Godzilla movie should always, always, always be the bad guys.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. 100%. You know what this movie could have benefited from? Because I think you're right. I think there's a lack of conflict at like that administrative level. I would have loved if like there was like Monarch brass like outside of Serizawa that like could have been like, listen, man, like some Men in Black shit. Like you're just playing like little games. Like we've been here forever. Blah 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 blah. But like there's no sense of that. Like Monarch is just Sally Fields and Ken Watanabe, and that's it.
Yeah.
It's like there's no sense of scale from Monarch.
I really wish we got more, even just more Ken Watanabe in this movie. He's so good.
Yes. Yell at a guy. Yell at Steins for being an idiot. Yeah.
I'm complaining about this movie a lot that I generally think is pretty good. But
me too.
Here we are.
Well, it's just like the non-Godzilla parts of it aren't very good. Like, I think the parts where it's just Aaron Taylor Johnson running around, or when he has to go into a room and be like, guys, I need to get to my family. Do you have a missile? Like, let me get on the train. Like, all that shit. It's just so much nothing. And I guess if it weren't nothing, I would be a little bit more inclined to have any opinion whatsoever on what the military is doing and stuff, but it does feel so, like, disjointed. I don't know. It's a tough one, because do you think that... So who is the villain of this movie?
I
the
mean,
MUTOs?
On paper, yeah. I really do think that, like, for the most part, a lot of the humans who are making decisions are bad.
I don't think the MUTOs are even that bad. I feel like they were trying.
They're trying to procreate.
Yeah.
They were trying
That's
to
not
do
allowed.
what?
I think they're just trying to have babies. They're not being cruel. I feel like there was the most sympathy I felt for any character in this movie was when MUTO mommy noticed that her babies were all exploded and got kind of sad. I was like, oh no, they killed her babies. Like,
Right.
that there was I don't know who. I don't think there was a villain, because we've kind of discussed why the movie didn't really make a case for one. But yeah, I feel like even the MUTOs, I'm like, I hope I don't know.
Well, I mean,
a lot of people died because of the MUTOs.
Yeah, I was going to say, the MUTOs committed the greatest crime in this movie, and it was killing Bryan Cranston's wife. Like, that is the
Bryan
crime
Cranston
of the movie. And Bryan Cranston, right?
Well,
so I think that is like a big framing for them being the villains. Also, and I know they were just trying to have babies, but Godzilla wants for balance, and
what
that
is
was
balance?
not...
What does that mean, Ken Watanabe?
Ask Godzilla.
I don't know if Godzilla knows either. Was there balance before the MUTO showed up?
I guess.
No.
I guess balance means that it's the people's time to have the planet. It's humans' time to have the planet now, and there shouldn't be big monsters eating them.
I don't know. I feel
That's
like
what
balance
Godzilla
is
thinks.
Godzilla's in charge of all the monsters. Like, balance is I'm the only monster.
Perhaps he's king of the monsters.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, he's like whenever I like Ken Watanabe in this in general, but I do think his character, whenever he says that, I'm like, it sounds like someone being like, oh, I missed my train. That must be the universe telling me I'm not supposed to go. Like, no, dude, it's a Godzilla. It wants to kill the other thing. I don't know, man. Like, you can say that you think Godzilla hates MUTOs, likes people or something, but the balance thing feels so off. But I don't know. I mean, we have balance now, I guess, in these movies. Has balance been lifted before, or like, has balance been settled before King Kong versus Godzilla?
Well, I mean, the imbalance there is going to be that the fake Godzilla is creating imbalance. And so
Right.
Yes.
Godzilla and Kong got to team up to fight the fake Godzilla.
Wait.
Because we all know that's going to be the plot of that movie, right?
Yeah, speaking of that, what about King Kong? Is he also
on his own island.
Is part of the balance as long as he's not on Godzilla's turf?
It's mammal time. Kong's a mammal, so it's fine.
That's fair. Well, okay, but what about, are there other monsters now at the end of this last one that come and bow to King Kong, or Godzilla, excuse me? What happened to
Yeah,
them?
the king of the monsters. Yeah,
Because he's the king of the monsters.
So-
and his position on monster rule is that they should go down to the Hollow Earth and leave humans alone.
Ah, yeah, that's fair. So Godzilla he cares about balance. So let's talk about this movie. Bryan Cranston, what is his deal, you guys?
He is a nuclear technician? Engineer,
Yeah,
thank you.
Something like that.
He calls himself an engineer at one point.
Okay. Who works at a nuclear power plant in Japan.
Yep.
And he's so into work, man. He's so into work, he forgets it's his own birthday. I love that trope about the guy's so taxed he can't remember his own birthday. His own birthday.
Yeah, you should probably learn that. Like, I feel like they should give that guy some time to sleep because he's probably making other mistakes too. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know, man. Take
Yeah,
a day of
a
rest.
lot of studies show that like 40 hours of work is not actually the most efficient amount of time to work.
Yeah.
That if you work fewer hours, you get just as much done in those fewer hours because you don't feel as stretched out.
Yeah, I don't know what culturally
You know,
what
I
the
think-
Japanese work culture is, but
Oh, it's even worse.
oh man, that explains
Oh, is it really? Wow.
Also,
Oh yeah, God, I mean, this might be different now, and I don't want to talk about it like it's a thing everyone believes, but it is. There was a cultural norm, enough of a norm that people knew about it, where it was considered a good thing to like fall asleep at work because it meant that you were focusing on work
I've
so
heard
much
this
you didn't
before.
even have time to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Huh.
And like
So you're
there's a
saying is I
trope
should-
of like the salary man who commits suicide because he was focusing on work so much that it made him suicidal.
Whoa.
As like just like a thing. Like people, you mentioned like the salary man, people are like, oh, that type, got it.
Right.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, it's bad.
it sucks.
Well, I hope those people aren't working at the nuclear power plants because
And again, I don't want to imply that like every Japanese person is like this or anything, but those are like cultural tropes in Japan, which tells you something about how ubiquitous the standard was.
Well, and also, I mean, speaking of Japan, Bryan Cranston's character kind of speaks Japanese. Is that any good? Do we have any Japanese listeners? I'd love to hear if he's any good.
I have no idea. I don't know.
I watch enough anime to consider myself an expert, and I'd say, yeah, he does a fine job.
Okay. All right, DJ. Anime Japanese expert DJ Chapman. Yeah, so he goes into work with his wife, who's also part of it.
Yeah, she's, I
Yes.
guess, also an engineer.
She
Yeah.
seems like she might be more of a technician because she actually goes down into the reactor.
Yeah, mayhaps. I mean, it's good to go to work with your wife. Saves on the commute, makes things easier.
Yeah. Can I just say, since we're going through the movie in order now,
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
there's actually something before this that I would like to talk about.
Yeah, let's
Okay.
talk about it.
Probably a different thing than what you think I'm going to talk about.
Oh,
Nando.
yeah, probably.
Which is the movie opens with a little montage, kind of obliquely showing all the evidence Monarch has gathered about Godzilla over the years. Mm-hmm. Which I think is a pretty cool way to start the movie. And the music track it opens with is pretty cool too. However, I bring this up because one of my favorite details in this movie is in this montage, which is the implication that Godzilla started the Spanish-American War.
Oh, I did not notice that. Did it
I
sink
didn't
the
notice this
whatchamacallit? The
Yes, one of the headlines that is like in the montage of Godzilla stuff is the sinking of the USS Maine.
Oh, that's so funny.
Generally considered the flashpoint of that started the Spanish-American War. So in the legendary Monsterverse, the Spanish-American War started because of Godzilla.
I love that. I love that.
That is pretty funny. The intro is fine. It reminds me a lot of the one from the other Godzilla movie, where it's just like kind of grainy
Godzilla
footage of
1998?
stuff. Yeah. Like I feel like that one
I think it's
also
better
had.
in this one.
I think so too. I do think Monarch
Yeah.
as a part of these movies just has never worked for me. Because they don't do anything. Like
Yeah.
yeah.
If they gave him more to do, I think it would be a totally fine device for linking the movies together.
Yeah, the problem is in this, they come off as like glorified like Bigfoot hunters. Like if Bigfoot was real, but still, it's not like they have like a lot of clout or, all we get is like they're a multinational organization funded by the governments, I guess.
Consisting entirely of Ken Watanabe and Sally Hawkins.
Yeah.
No one
I mean,
else.
they grow exponentially in the next movie, right? There's
Yes.
Like
dozens of people.
They
in that.
do and don't. There's an organization, but there's no like point to them. They never.
Yeah.
like provide value. Their job is like to watch the Godzilla stuff and then freak out when it happens, and then that's it. Like, at no point are they like, oh, cool, we have the gun that kills Godzillas. It's always, they never help. If S.H.I.E.L.D. was this bad, it would be stupid, like, that we keep following them. But at least every so often, S.H.I.E.L.D.'s like, well, we found a thing, and we know who this guy is. But with this, it's just like, they're always 20 minutes behind Godzilla to everything.
It'd be like in Avengers if S.H.I.E.L.D. was like, so in case the Hulk gets out, we have this little box made of... from chrome steel. We have a chrome steel box, and that's what we're going to put the Hulk in case things get bad. All right?
Yeah.
Chrome steel.
But we'll attach the chrome steel to some wood.
Well, and it would be like if they were constantly keeping tabs on the Hulk, and they were like, as Bruce Banner, and they were like, that's Bruce Banner. If he turns into the Hulk, it's not good. And then someone else like got involved with Bruce Banner. Like something happened, and the police were like, "You guys are the Bruce Banner expert." And they're like, "Yep, you watch out because he might turn into the Hulk." And then he did, and then they fired him, fired like a net at him, and then he ripped up the net, and then they all just ran away. Like they're the most they're not like excessively ineffectual as a government organization, but they don't seem to possess any special insight into Godzilla or technology. They don't even know about the sonar thing until they're told.
I mean, I guess they know that nukes won't work on Godzilla, but the military ignores that little factoid anyway, so yeah. Here we are.
Yeah, like, I feel like I just don't think Monarch. I don't think these movies have ever made the case for Monarch. And obviously they're not a huge part of this one or the Kong Skull Island. Like, they play into it, but then when you get into Godzilla King of the Monsters, it's like, or yeah, the one that comes after this one with Godzilla, it's like, man, these guys just do nothing but build bases for Godzillas to explode through when they wake up and then kill everyone around them. But they never, like, the closest they ever get to containing a Godzilla is when they have some strings, some like those metal thingies over MUTO 1, and you're like, man, if you guys had twice as many strings, I think this would have worked. Like, really skimp it out on the metal cable budget. But yeah, I don't know. I'd say they, even more than Aaron Taylor Johnson, I'd say they're my big problem with the movie is Monarch. I don't know why, but
well, I think it's for all the reasons you said.
I think Monarch in this movie is cool. I mean, they don't do a lot, but Ken Watanabe and Sally Hawkins feel like the most interesting people in any room they're in, and it feels like the movie should have focused on them more.
That's true.
So they don't feel like the problem.
Yeah, Ken Watanabe, it would be really funny if the military did come and rewrite the movie, and they were like, Ken Watanabe, listen, we want you to be in the movie, but the only spot we have left is a 25-year-old Aaron Taylor Johnson type. Can you do that? Like, can we put you in fatigues and just have you run around with Godzilla? And he's like, I guess I just want to be in the Godzilla movie. And they're like, yeah, that's what we thought. And that was the movie we got.
I would love that.
And he gets on the phone with Elizabeth Olsen. I'm sorry.
God, why?
Go die, wife.
Why
I'm
would
gonna
you
leave.
Now that we have such an incredible demonstration of Elizabeth Olsen's talents, it makes me angry that she was wasted in a sad wife role like this.
Hey, she does good job in this movie.
What does she do?
I'm not criticizing her. I'm not criticizing her at all.
Wait, but
I'm just saying, like, she could have done so much.
She yells.
That's my point.
No, I'm talking to DJ, yeah.
Slams the phone down at one point and goes, "Damn it!" and gets really angry.
Oh, never mind. That was actually really cool. Like, what the fuck? She should be in charge of Monarch or something. I don't know. Someone could be starting Monarch at this point. I don't know. Like, it's weird that...
I mean, between her and Juliette Binoche, I don't know how to pronounce her name. That might be wrong. This movie loves casting extremely talented actresses as wives and then having them do nothing.
Yeah. It is weird because you have... I guess, like, she's, like, just the wife. Like, she's not... I could see a version of this movie where she goes to get Bryan Cranston and she has some stuff to do in Japan, and then Aaron Taylor Johnson goes and does some other things. Like, we have two main characters that can be the characters that experience Godzilla, but instead one main character stays at home and the other one just globetrots while Godzilla follows him from location to location. Like... It's really weird looking back now because Yeah, there's no reason why why it isn't Elizabeth Olsen doing some of these things. Except for, I guess, that maybe she didn't want to. Maybe she's busy. Maybe she's like, hey, I'm about to do an Avengers movie. I mean, so is he, but he's going to die in it. Spoiler alert.
Yeah,
so.
And also we're going to be brother and sister, so good thing this one's coming out first.
Love it. I love it.
Yeah, geez, was this movie cast by the writer of The Ultimates?
It was. That's right. This was Mark... No, I don't know. Mark Millar, maybe.
I mean, to be fair, this movie did come out first, right?
It did
so
come
it's
out
not their
first.
fault. If
So
anything, it's Avengers'
it's a
fault.
certain other certainly disgraced Hollywood director maybe who you can be like,
That's
he saw it and was
true,
like,
right?
yeah, let's make them brother and sister. Cigar. I listen. This movie, yeah, I think it's best in the beginning of the movie. Like, why do they have to be shooting at the Godzilla at all? Why can't it just be nuclear disasters and we're running away from Godzilla in Japan or whatever? Like,
hey, well, listen, ineffectually shooting at Godzilla is a time-honored tradition, and I'm not going to criticize this movie for it.
that's fair. I guess it's more like, why do we have to be with one of the shooty guys as opposed to like a Bryan Cranston type just running away from Godzillas?
I was going to say something about what parts of the movie I think are good in terms of like time-wise, but now I'm thinking about it, and it's like, it's really just like all the non-Aaron Taylor Johnson parts of this movie I generally like.
Oh, yeah. He stinks. Not in general, but I don't like him in this.
I don't even put him at fault for this movie because like they're very few and far between, but he has these like moments of like potential charisma that you're like, ah, yes, what a likable man. Like when he's like helping the little kid get back to his family, and he's like, hey kid, is this what you want, a little army soldier? Here, you have it. You better not make me miss my flight, kid, I tell you what. It's like little flashes of this is good there.
Yeah.
I think the problem with Aaron Taylor Johnson's character in this movie is that the beginning of the movie, quite well, I would say, sets up these character conflicts where he doesn't want to deal with the fact of his mother's death. He's kind of like put it past him. So he has this strained relationship with his father who has never gotten over it. Mm-hmm. And so there's this tension between like he has this unresolved thing in his past that he doesn't want to deal with. And then this relationship with his father that, you know, obviously changes when it turns out his dad was completely right about all this stuff that he's been saying. And so there's this interesting tension there to think about, you know, he's being forced to confront this thing from his past and also reevaluating his relationship with his father as he realizes that his father was actually right this whole time and all this. And it sets it all up. And then Bryan Cranston dies, and with it dies any chance of us examining any of that. His entire character from that point on is, I gotta get to my family.
Yeah.
And like, that's it.
Yeah,
That's
is
the
what
whole
this
thing.
is. He's Vin Diesel.
We drop the whole important, like, all the character development we've done up to that point is just gone, and we never think about it again.
The mom thing is just gone. That never comes up again. And you're right. It's a whole thing. Like, you can't keep putting it in your past, Ford. But yeah, man, you're right.
It's
like the MUTO. If you're gonna do a character focused movie, the MUTO represents the fact that the trauma of losing his mom and the literal embodied fact that his dad was right about it the whole time.
Right.
Those are very meaningful things to this character, but it's never actually comes up as part of the movie.
Yeah, it's definitely the weakest part of this movie that because like if they never brought that up, you'd be like, all right, they just want to be an action movie, which is fine, but they bring up these story points that could be great and then just ignore the fuck out of them.
Well, if it does feel like a movie written for Vin Diesel where it's about a muscular, strong guy who runs around through like rubble and stuff, and then every so often has a moment where he has to pretend to connect to a child and like plays with a toy, and it's like, hey kid, you like the toy? This is a cool army man. All right, we got it. Let's go. I'm gonna go pick up some stuff now.
It works on me.
It does.
I'm such a schmuck. It works on me.
I think, like, I agree with Diggins. I think the problem with, I think you could maybe do a more interesting version of this where Godzilla killed his dad and his mom. Like, or that was the problem. Wait, because his dad dies when? 2000 something?
Well,
15, yeah.
2014.
Or 14.
But, like, how old is he when his dad died? Or not, sorry. That's when his dad dies. His mom dies. Original monster thing.
Mom dies in 1999, yeah.
And she is
a
killed
year
by
after the Godzilla trauma in New York.
right. She is killed by what?
The MUTO causes the nuclear plant to start melting down,
Yes.
and she gets trapped in the reactor while it is flooding with lethal doses of radiation.
Right.
Yeah.
So I could see a version of this movie where Godzilla killed his mom, and then he has to like get over that or something because Godzilla is cool and the other ones are bad or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, the fact that it's kind of weird now that I think about it that the MUTOs killed his mom because they are bad, and Godzilla didn't kill his mom or his dad, and Godzilla is good. And it's like...
Really? That seems like what you would do in a movie that's supposed to be fairly simple.
Well, but it's, I guess it's simple, but this idea of like, oh, human and casual, or like, you know, we're looking at this from the human angle and we are kind of just collateral damage in big giant Godzilla v whatever his name is fights. Like there's certain buildings that Godzilla just knocks down as part of the deal. Right? Like, not him, but just, like, he's too big, but he has to go fight a MUTO. So I'm thinking, like, I could see a movie where this guy, or an Aaron Taylor Johnson type, is mad at the collateral damage caused by Godzilla, not MUTO. Not like he's on the MUTO's side, but he's just like, the Godzilla's the thing that killed. I don't know. But his...
That's a very different movie, though.
Well,
like,
I guess...
I see what you're saying.
If I need a reason for him to... Oh, sorry?
You go.
Well, I'm saying if I'm trying to invent a reason for him to hate Godzilla, or like the metaphor of the movie to be about getting over your mom or dad's death at the hands of a giant monster, the moment where that happens is when you realize that you're trying to kill the wrong monster or something like that. Like, even if, like, I think you could make a movie where his dad dies, it would just have to not be to MUTO 1. Or MUTO 2, or like, I guess, boy MUTO and girl MUTO.
But even in this movie that we have, like, Aaron Taylor Johnson kills the MUTO babies. He could have said something where, like, this is for you, Mom. Like, I'm exacting revenge. I'm taking away from the monster that killed you. I'm taking away their children. Like, even that would be...
See, this would...
Some kind of closure.
This would fight with my problem that the mom is the only character I feel any sympathy for throughout the whole movie in that moment. So I would be like...
Wow.
I would be like, he is the bad guy. Yeah, I don't care about Aaron Taylor Johnson at all.
Well, you could make the MUTOs a little more explicitly evil. Listen, the monsters in Godzilla movies are often not just like animals doing stuff. They're like actually evil.
Right.
And like killing people.
Yeah, that is
like, you can do that. It's fine.
That is kind of the other thing about these guys is we have this weird, like, humanization of Godzilla, but not just like the MUTOs are mean. They're just nothing. Like, they are just like wild animals. So it's, I don't know, it's strange that we have like, the MUTOs exist in a movie where there's just big giant monsters that do murder. Like, they accidentally murder people, and maybe they eat some people sometimes, but it's like a... You know, we're just living on the planet with them. But then we have Godzilla, who is protector of humanity and destroys these monsters. They're not on the same level, like symbolically or thematically. They're part of different movies, which is a little strange to me. I was just going to say, and Godzilla King of Monsters stinks, but it stinks for a lot of other reasons. But at least in those movies, you do know, like, this one wants to eat people, this one's kind of nice, this one's really bad, and this one is Godzilla. And you're like, you kind of, their personalities all feel like they're on the same level, where you kind of know where you stand. I don't know. I
don't feel like there's any confusion about the MUTOs are bad news. I never felt any kind of feeling like, but they're just doing whatever, or... Like, it's fine. Just let the MUTOs hang out.
They're making them babies. I mean, listen, to be fair, the one MUTO, he goes to Las Vegas to destroy it.
Yeah, that
I
poor
don't feel
MUTO.
anything.
Oh my god, yeah.
You know, that's you gotta.
Well, aren't they?
That was the female MUTO.
Yeah.
All right. But I'm just saying, like, that they have her go to Las Vegas. What, I'm supposed to feel bad for Las Vegas? Come on now. Come on now. It's not going to work on me. Unless you show me John Taffer getting stomped on by Muto, then I'd be like, oh, you monster.
Or that hockey team. They don't have that anymore. Yeah. It went right down the middle of the strip, too.
Because the Muto stepped on them. That's why there's no more Las Vegas hockey team.
No Knights, baby. Nights. The whole thing with Godzilla, too, is like, I feel like it's extra funny. It's extra funny in the context of like the bigger picture in the Godzilla universe of just like imagining a movie where there's just like, because what almost happens at the end of this is if Godzilla dies in that moment, one of the 2 or 3 moments where he almost dies, then the camera stops looking at him so that he can sneak up on another thing. But in those moments, it's like the movie's over. Oh my God, there's going to be 1 million MUTOs and they're going to get us. And then just like, I like the idea of King Kong just relaxing on Skull Island, getting his big axe ready or whatever, and just like a swarm of MUTOs comes, eats him, and the same thing happens to Ghidorah and Rodan, and it's just like, man, these were the Titans, the big giant things. But then also there was this one of them that could make a bazillion Titans, and it was kind of like, that one was obviously the best one. If only Godzilla wasn't so darn clever, it would definitely win. But I don't know, man. That's more of a Monarch problem. Why are they called Monarch?
I don't remember if they give an explanation in King of Monsters. Certainly not in this movie.
Is it a Godzilla thing?
I don't know.
Okay.
Ken Watanabe's character name is a Godzilla thing.
Oh, what's his name?
What is it?
Or Suzuki, right? Or
Dr. Serizawa.
Oh, Serizawa.
Dr. Serizawa is the name of the scientist in the first movie who creates the oxygen destroyer, the device that is used to kill that Godzilla.
Ah.
But he also stays behind and lets himself die with it so that it can never be used again.
Very heroic. Very much like what happens at the end of the other one. Also, I called him Suzuki because I'm pretty sure his first name is Ichiro.
Yes.
As we all know, classic baseball player, Ichiro Suzuki. What else about this movie? I don't know, man. What scenes stuck out to you? Was it all the ones with Godzilla?
I will say... oh, no, go ahead, Diggins.
As a start, yes. Definitely the Godzilla ones.
Any others?
And the Muto ones. I think
Yeah,
they're
those
both
were good,
I think all the monster stuff in this is good. When Ken Watanabe said, "Let them fight."
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Oh my God, that is such a... He said the thing!
Yeah.
That's such what that
But,
is. But like,
that
whatever.
became a meme because of the movie, because it was a cool line in the movie.
Well, I think it became a meme because it was the trailer. It was the big,
that's why I equate it to "he said the thing" because it was the big line from the trailer.
Yeah, I knew that line way before, because I didn't see the movie in theaters, and I knew it way before the movie came out, just because it was all there. But, yeah, he was fun. He was a good character. Do you think they thought Aaron Taylor Johnson is what the kids wanted?
I think if you define the kids as the Pentagon, then yeah.
Well, but do you think the Pentagon was like, let's get that hot new thing all the kids want, your Aaron Taylor Johnson? Like, do you think this movie would be better served by a Robert Pattinson or someone like that?
Not for what they had him do, because I don't think he's where it failed. I think the writing is what failed. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think swapping him out for a different hunky man or like a Channing Tatum, like oh yeah, that's what's going to do it.
Well, I'm looking...
John David Washington.
Oh, God damn it.
Exactly.
I'm looking for less of a hunk and more of a charismatic lead. Like, I think Aaron Taylor Johnson works as a player in this movie, but as the main player, I think he's a little, like, at least at this point, a little, I don't know, lacking.
But what does the charisma buy you?
It's like sympathy for this character, and just like, I hope he makes it out alive. I like him. Like, I did, hope he made it out alive, because I have the basic, non-sociopathic, I see a person and they, but besides that, it was like, he's so bland. Like, imagine this role, but with like Michael B. Jordan in it or something. Just someone who's like a more, I don't know, who just has more.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I don't think it would have fixed the problems with that character, but I can see what you're saying, where if there was someone with a little more on-screen charisma, it would have at least felt more interesting.
Like, we really did. We were this close to a Scott Eastwood situation where we just might as well have gotten one of the identical white guys. Like, not that this character couldn't be white. Like, a Robert Pattinson, I think, is a good example of an actor who I think could have carried this as well. But
a friend of mine actually once made the argument that I was quite persuaded by, that the movie would have been stronger if the Aaron Taylor Johnson character was Japanese,
Oh, yeah.
And his mother was Japanese. Because then it also becomes a part of, like, rejecting that part of his heritage where he doesn't want to think, like, because his mom died and he has this unresolved trauma that he doesn't want to think about. It manifests itself in kind of rejecting the Japanese part of his heritage. Like, still have Bryan Cranston, but like, Bryan Cranston met a Japanese woman while he was living in Japan and they had a kid. And that would have been an interesting tension, an interesting wrinkle added to that part of his character, which I could have gone for. I don't know any Japanese-American actors of the right age off the top of my head that I would suggest.
Let's age down Ken Watanabe using Captain Marvel CGI. Young 20-year-old Ken Watanabe.
Yeah.
In the beginning of the movie, it's like, let them fight. And then at the end of the movie, it's like, let them fight. That's his arc, pretty much.
It's a good arc.
He really, like, without him, man, this movie stinks. Like,
with him and the big chunky boy.
Yeah, but I even think without I think we needed one person who we could see every so often that was just something. And at the end of the movie, you need him.
Listen. There's some of those Japanese Godzilla movies that do not have that, and they're still all right.
Who is your favorite? How about this? Here's a question. What's your favorite line? Does anybody have a favorite line in this movie that's not let them fight? Or favorite thing that is said? Because I did have one, and I was curious if anybody else caught a line that was extra funny.
I like when the one random military guy goes, I guess we're monster hunters now.
Yes, that's the one. Yeah. I was like, yo, is that like... I'd love it if they just rebranded this movie like Monster Hunter. Did they know that the Monster Hunter movie that they made would also be about the military at the time? Someone saw that and was like, oh my god. In 7 years,
how is this
let's
happening,
make a crappy
right?
version of a video game movie where they're in the military or space. I don't know how that movie goes.
I genuinely do enjoy the exchange where Ken Watanabe points out his dad's Hiroshima pocket watch.
That is nice.
It feels like an echo from the version of this movie that was more stridently anti-nuclear.
That's fair. I think the scene where Bryan Cranston was in the room yelling at everybody about how there's the Godzilla guys, like, that reminded me of that scene from Jaws where Richard Dreyfuss is doing the autopsy, the autopsy for the shark, and he's like, it's not a seagull, it's not a propeller, it's a shark. Like, it had echoes of that. I mean, that's not what he says, because what a fucking seagull. Close down the beach if that's a seagull. But whatever he says, like, to, like, the people, and then I was really waiting for him to say, like, it's a Godzilla, but that wouldn't have made any sense. Yeah.
You know, like a Zilla, but a god.
I do think this movie, like, the 1998 Godzilla version of it might have been a little too cute, but this one is too cute in the other direction, where Ken Watanabe is very clearly saying Gojira, but everyone else is saying Godzilla, and there's just no acknowledgement of the tension between they're saying two different things.
I mean, I feel like, why don't we in America call it Gojira?
Because it was dubbed in the 1950s when people were like, Gojira, that sounds like one of them foreign names. We better give it a nice, clean American name.
Does the name Gojira in Japanese have anything to do with God? Like,
no.
Okay, so yeah, then that's stupid.
It is a port. I believe I said this in the 1998 Godzilla pod, but it is a portmanteau of the names of the Japanese words for gorilla and whale.
Right, yeah, so it's so dumb that we turned it into, like... Because I do think if it's turtle and whale...
It's to match the voice flaps. That's the reason.
Well, but if it is, like, gorilla whale thing, that's a big difference from God Lizard. Like, I feel like this movie, 2014 Godzilla, and really 2017 or 2018... King of Monsters is very much like, these are our gods, the biggest things that love us, and one wants to eat us and one wants to hug us. And it just describes so much, like, mythology that I don't find hard to believe or anything. I just don't think the movie really earns in those movies, but I do think a lot of it just comes from, like, well, yeah, its name is Godzilla, so it's got to be a god to some extent. What do you think Godzilla is a metaphor for in this movie?
I am not prepared to defend this movie as having deep meaning. I don't think it does, and what it tries to have is a little confused. I just think it's fun.
Are the MUTOs a metaphor for anything?
I don't know. If it is, it's lost on me. I really feel
I
like
mean, they're kind of doing a sort of climate change thing and trusting nature, sort of, but it's weird and doesn't work very well.
But who's the Godzilla that's going to save us from climate change? Like,
well, in the next
AOC, is she Godzilla?
Well, in the next movie, the Vera Farmiga will be like, the climate is changing, humanity's bad, we need the Titans to restore balance to the world. And it doesn't feel like the same argument that Ken Watanabe is making here, but I could see it's similar enough that it's, as a franchise, what the monsters represent is very just very fuzzy and strange. But I was wondering if either of you guys had thoughts on that. Let's see. What else? What did we think of the MUTO design?
I liked
it. It's cool.
Yeah, they were pretty cool.
I like how they got like the weird hook hands and the like their beaks look neat. The like glowing eggs in the stomach of the female one. I think it's all pretty cool.
Yeah.
Michelle made this observation while we were watching, and I agree. The noises they make sounds like when you have like an upset stomach, like the like your stomach's growling, like how they communicate. And it was like, and like I get it, that's like a thing you could do, but like I couldn't not hear that when she said that. I'm like, yeah, it just sounds like upset tummies.
Yeah.
Well, they got upset tummies. They want to go chomp and eat up that radiation for their tummies.
Yeah.
Yeah, get wrecked, those Russians who they just deleted. Whole Russian sub's gone.
Yeah.
Just gobble up them missiles. Nom, 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 nom.
It's cute.
Gotta eat, right?
When they make their little baby nest, it's right over the missile. Like they're like one of them is like, look what I got. I got you something. Or not missile.
They
I
make
guess.
that little nest right through the iconic Dragon Gate of San Francisco.
Oh yeah, that was
because monsters in movies always know where monuments are.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, this one had that. Like, it just had that, like, I don't know. I did like those two. I wanted them to survive the monsters and be reformed by Godzilla or something. Wait, why don't they bow to Godzilla?
Because they get killed. Because they don't respect Godzilla.
Why not?
Like,
they're anti-Godzilla monsters. They find them. They find their two pods in a chamber with a skeleton of a Godzilla.
I guess, but so let's say they get woken up in the next movie. We even see a MUTO in the next movie bowing to Godzilla. And at the end, where Godzilla has asserted his dominance of the king of monsters, does Godzilla, like, at some point roar at them and they're like, we don't think you're the real Godzilla. We're waiting for King Ghidorah to show up, and then we'll see. And then you guys can fight, and then we'll make our decision. Or these guys,
that guy has 3 heads.
Yeah.
They were dormant near the surface for a very long time, so maybe their dormancy is prior to Godzilla assuming the mantle, and therefore they don't recognize his authority.
That's true. Oh, man.
You're not our duly elected Godzilla.
Yeah, stop the count of Godzillas. Yeah. He's like, yeah, I like this movie when it doesn't, or I like these movies way more when they're just animals fighting each other as opposed to the Titan Guardians of Humanity or not. What'd you guys think of the radioactive breath?
That was so cool.
Yeah, that's my favorite scene of the movie.
It's such a cool thing.
The first time I saw that, I was so hyped.
Yeah, they put that in the trailer and that was a mistake. I think there were fans that were like, is it going to do radioactive breath? Because the last one didn't. So they were just like, all right, fine, fuck it, we'll show you the goddamn breath.
They put, like, his spines lighting up at one point, but still, the way they do it in the movie, even having seen that, I was, like, so hyped.
Yeah.
Because you see, it's just like the Queen Muto, or Mom Muto, whatever you want to call it, is, like, about to attack Aaron Taylor-Johnson. And then, like, you just notice, like, right as it's about to attack, this blue glow in the fog in the distance. You see it crawling up Godzilla's spine. It's so good. That is a fantastic scene.
Godzilla's pretty good. I liked.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I like Godzilla. I liked when he fought the bird one and just
Rodan.
No.
Oh no, the in this movie,
Flyy
the bird
Boy
Muto.
Yeah, when it jumped on him like a little backpack, and he was like, "Fuck, my arms are tiny. You got me. Like this will work." Insane.
I always appreciate a good bit of sexual dimorphism.
Very good. Yeah, I thought that was cute that that happens, that there's the both of them, and I forget is it Sally Hawkins? It's just like, I don't know, different sex. Who do you think I am? I don't know. They're different. That they're similar. It's probably the boy. I don't know what to tell you, buddy. She I feel like isn't like underutilized in these movies, but she isn't Ken Watanabe. So in scenes with her, I usually just want to see him do stuff.
I think she has she gets used less than Ken Watanabe. She does have an on-screen charisma.
Yeah.
This is like, man, King of the Monsters was like me. It was like my personal monkey paw movie. Where I was like, I want a movie that focuses more on Monarch, where we get Ken Watanabe and Sally Hawkins like starring roles. And then that movie came out, and not only is it bad, but they both die. Sally Hawkins without even doing anything.
Yeah, but they got replaced by Bradley Whitford and the kid from Silicon Valley, just like we always dreamed. And they made jokes about like farts and stuff. Yeah, movie blows.
I gotta say, just real quick on the nuclear breath. It is the biggest case for, like, why I don't think Kong has, like, a chance in this stupid fight. Like, I know they want to make, like, oh, they're evenly matched or whatever. But, like, man, Kong would get his ass beat by Godzilla in any measurement.
Well,
listen, I know it was a big meme on Twitter. Kong win because monkey. Haha. Like, yeah, we all get our jollies. I understand it. Godzilla would win. It's just a fact.
Well,
Godzilla would win.
But this Muto was like resistant to radiation because the first time Godzilla blasts it with the radioactive breath, it's kind of like it shoots it with a fire hose. And then the second time when it pushes it down its stomach, it's like it pushes a fire hose down your stomach, and like that just messes you up. But like if all of the Mutos aren't like completely resistant to radiation, but if like King Kong has a little bit of radiation shielding, then he's got a shot, I think. And
he has a stupid hammer.
But
the hammer.
The Mutos
the hammer,
are
DJ?
radiation. The Mutos are radiation-eating monsters, and Kong's a big monkey.
But is he a Muto? Is he a Titan? Because like
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how the canon works out.
See, in the other movie, they say like in King of Monsters when they're classifying Titans, I'm pretty sure they say like, and there's that one over on Skull Island or something.
Yeah.
So I would imagine, I mean, it's never even half explained, but I would imagine that Kong, if all of the Mutos have some, and which, this has definitely never been established, but where they all have some level of radioactive resistance, I think he could take a couple hits before he would be, irradiated to death. But also he'll probably just dodge them or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, he's going to dodge it and charge up his big fucking hammer, and then he's going to hit Godzilla with it.
Oh my God, DJ.
Then a bit of Godzilla's skin will come off, and you'll see it's Mecha Godzilla. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
And then the real Godzilla shows up, and they team up and have a big fight.
Yeah, do you think, like, King Kong will get into Godzilla's mouth and, like, or Mecha Godzilla and, like, hold it open so that regular Godzilla can do radioactive breath down its gullet? Sounds like something that would do.
That would be cool.
Yeah, right? Cause
I'd like that.
It only thought about it because in the King Kong movie, the one we just watched, his whole skill is like ripping the mouths of T-Rexes open. That's how he stops them. So I'm not the same King Kong, but similar skill set, I guess. What else was fun about this movie? I don't know. There was like were you excited when Aaron Taylor Johnson blew up all the babies?
I mean, I felt nothing.
Because you're a heartless monster. Yeah. And I was very upset about it.
It's clear.
Yeah. What about, how about this? Remember when the military shoots Muto Mommy at the end of the movie with, like, rocket launchers? Mm-hmm. It kind of works. Like, it doesn't...
It annoys her.
Yeah. And I'm like, that's helpful, guys. We figured something out. Like, we have an exploitable weakness or, like, at least something besides just... let Godzilla kill her, which is fine, that's a fine way to do it too. But it did feel like at the very end of the movie, they were like, oh, we might be able to help a little bit, but then there's no time.
No, but they don't help because she still kills everyone on the boat and then also kills them. Yeah. And she doesn't appear to have taken any actual damage. She just got annoyed.
Well, but she got stalled. Aaron Taylor Johnson was able to escape in that moment. So it's like...
No, Aaron Taylor Johnson wasn't there yet.
I thought Aaron Taylor Johnson was... No,
Aaron Taylor Johnson was behind because he delayed to blow up the eggs, and then he ran away from her after Godzilla bought him some time. They ran ahead with the bomb and were putting it on the boat, but then she runs, catches them, kills all of them, kills the people firing at her. Then Aaron Taylor Johnson shows up.
He does do a little bit of teleporting because, like, he goes, like, from the nest to the boat pretty, like, warp speed. Like, there's a little bit of time travel going on, or teleportation going on.
Well, I guess, okay, so in that moment, they save the boat. The MUTO is about to eat the boat, which if they didn't have that, then they're screwed. I mean, it doesn't matter in this case because if they didn't have, like, it's not like the boat makes a big difference. Well, I guess the boat does make a difference because I forget, at the end of this movie, do they disarm the bomb or just go off?
No, it goes off.
Yeah.
And
it goes off.
So the timetable of it is insane, by the way, because, like, they set the bomb for, like, 90 minutes. And then they're like, and that's during the train raid. And then they're like, oh no, it didn't work.
Yeah.
And then they're like, all right, well, we only have a certain amount of time to get it there. And they do so much stuff. They do the Halo jump, they do the raid, all within, like, I think they get to the bomb with 20 minutes left. So all that stuff happened in, like, an hour. It's like, there's no way. There's no way. But whatever.
Well, also...
Maybe they set up the clockwork wrong and they actually had like several hours, but it was only counting down like it was an hour and a half.
Maybe it was like 7 hours and 30 minutes. Maybe I saw it wrong. They don't give you a clear
No, you're
shot.
right. You're
Okay.
right. It's an hour 30, and the amount of things they accomplish in that hour and 30 minutes is absurd.
Yeah, but whatever.
I think, that whole thing is pretty... It is crazy that Aaron Taylor Johnson gets so many MUTO scenes. Like, the fact that he also bumps into MUTO in Hawaii is pretty crazy. It's not...
He's just chasing MUTOs.
Well, the MUTOs are chasing him. He doesn't, they just keep finding him. But
well, to be fair, that's the only one that's a coincidence.
Yeah.
They go to the power plant because of his dad is breaking in to prove his theories. Then the other guys are following Godzilla specifically, and Aaron Taylor Johnson also specifically volunteers for the cart a bunch of radiation to lure the MUTOs plan, and that's why he meets them there. And then also volunteers for the go fix our massive mistake that we made that was almost going to blow up San Francisco plan.
Yeah.
That involves seeing them. Like, it's mostly only the Hawaii one's a coincidence.
that's true. Do you have a favorite? What's the favorite scene? If you had to pick, is it the fight between Godzilla and MUTO Mommy?
It's probably the fight, yeah. The fight's
Yeah.
really cool.
It rips her head off. It's pretty good.
That's so awesome. You know what's a shame about this movie with regards to the fights? Or I guess one specific fight. The first big fight we see between the Godzilla and the MUTO, like full fight, is in the perspective of the kid watching the TV.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, that can't be how you show me my first shots of Godzilla, like, beating up the MUTO is like on the TV cast. That was like the one point where I was like a bit disappointed in like with the fight sequences. But,
I kind of love the joke of that.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, all right.
Kind of love that as a joke. I understand. I'm not going to criticize anyone for wanting there to be a real fight scene there.
It would have been.
It would have been cool.
It's fun as a joke because, like, it's almost like the characters are like, "Oh my god!" Like, it's like that scene in Popstar when they have a giant fight with bees, but the camera's not rolling. If it's like, you'll never believe all the damage they're doing. You just take our word for it. It's really bad. I will say, I do think that fight would have been interesting to set up a, like, I mean, this movie it's about everything, because if the movie was just about Godzilla versus the MUTOs, then you would want this fight to show how much trouble Godzilla is in with one MUTO, so that when Godzilla fights two, it's like, well, this can't, like, he's fucked. But they don't do that here, so it's like, but I mean, you kind of know he's kind of screwed in the fight. Did you think there was a chance Godzilla dies in this movie? Because they fake kill him a couple
no,
times.
Absolutely not.
When I first watched the movie in theaters, I did, because I don't think I was aware about the whole, like, Monarch verse thing that Legendary was doing. So I thought watching that, I'm like, oh, Godzilla's dead. But what they're gonna do is they're gonna like use him to make like a Mechagodzilla or something like that.
Or he could have babies. There's nothing stopping a Godzilla
or that,
baby.
yeah. But I did think.
I mean, like I
was
said,
dead.
the original Godzilla in the first ever Godzilla movie does die.
Yeah.
And never comes back.
I'm looking at it now. I like that entrance a lot, Godzilla's entrance in Hawaii, where at the airport everybody's like losing their shit because the big giant MUTO's eating all the planes or whatever. and then just Godzilla's giant foot comes and everybody shuts up. I do think...
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wait. Speaking of bullshit, I think it's insane how people react to Godzilla at the end of this movie. Very end.
No, I love it.
Insane how they cheer Godzilla on and are like, the hero.
He saved them.
Listen,
They don't know that.
Nando. You know how your most emotional moment of the movie was the Mama Muto finding out her eggs died?
Yep.
Literally, this is not a joke. The most emotional I felt in this movie was the end when everyone's cheering for Godzilla, and I'm like, yeah.
Yeah,
He did save the city. He saved the children. He's their friend, and he saved them.
City. Yeah.
And that made me happy, and I felt there were tears of joy welling up in my eyes. That everyone recognized what a good boy that big lizard is.
Goddamn right. I
guess it's a little weird because, and I do think a lot of the criticisms or questions I've had about this movie stem mostly from its relationship with the far inferior sequel. But in the sequel, the beginning of it is framed as like Kyle Chandler was part of this. His son died in the Godzilla incident in San Francisco, and he's got this big kind of anti-Muto streak. And it feels like Batman v Superman, where after the first one, they were like, all right, well, one of the characters has to react to this devastation in a way that's not the way that you would react, or like not the way that the characters in the movie reacted, but it does have to be kind of like, well, it was kind of bad. A lot of people got stepped on, some by Godzilla, some by the MUTOs, but some people would be sad about it. I like how gray the movie is. And I'm not talking about the Godzilla parts. I'm talking about the parts where people in gray shirts are standing in front of gray walls. The militariness of this movie has a lot of problems, but one of them is it flattens the color palette in every scene with people. None of them can wear T-shirts. They all have to wear camouflage. Ugh. I hate it.
It had a very battleship
you're
feel to it, just because of how much of this movie is on ships, because it's the Navy. You want to talk about propaganda, more than military propaganda? I feel like the Navy specifically was give us our fucking two cents.
Navy's pretty cool.
I want to tell people how cool the Navy is. It felt like that.
What if it was the Coast Guard instead? This is just a really dramatic...
They would laugh them out of the room. That
would be cool, though. If they showed up and they're like, excuse me, this is our jurisdiction. We're the ones that deal with Godzilla threats, and they just have a Mecha Godzilla ready, and they're like, let's let the Coast Guard take over. And then the Mecha Godzilla just tips over onto its side like that Asimo robot and falls into the Grand Canyon and dies. Whoopsies.
Godzilla is approaching the waters, and the Coast Guard comes up in their boat like, sir, do you have your passport?
Yeah. Yeah. What do you have to declare? Anything, Godzilla? No, all right. Well, you tried. We tried. How about the bit where the birds slam into the bus? That's fun. Where all the birds are run away, Godzilla's coming. Do the birds know about Godzilla? They must. I mean, they probably see him for
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, you're a bird. You see a big lizard. You're like, I don't want to be here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess to a bird, the difference in reality between a lion and a Godzilla is thing that's big enough to eat me in one bite. I hope it doesn't bite me. Whatever. Do you think if a Godzilla showed up in real life, we would do better than they do in this movie?
No. We would be woefully inequipped. There's no way.
It would depend what that Godzilla's agenda was.
Okay, well, I guess the MUTOs show up and then the Godzilla,
No, we'd be fucked. There'd be people like, that's not a MUTO.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist.
They'd ally with the MUTO.
Everyone wants you to be scared.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, the MUTO starts rampaging through the American Southwest. I'm like, I don't know, this MUTO might have a lot of good ideas.
Yeah,
I don't think... I think the best way to protect our border is to have a MUTO there. There's not going to be any more illegal immigration, people streaming across the border if there's a big MUTO.
See, this is that Monsters movie that Gareth Edward already made. It is exactly that. It's what if there were giant Godzillas on the border between Mexico and the United States, and someone had to go through it. So it's not the craziest idea ever. I don't think we made the giant monsters, but we did not make them either. Yeah, I don't know. What would you have liked to see from a sequel to this? Forget about Godzilla, King of Monsters.
Ignoring King of Monsters.
Yeah, and ignoring King Kong as well. Let's pretend he doesn't even exist.
God.
What where do you go from here if you're not
King of the Monsters is like really my monkey paw sequel to this movie. In that the individual elements described neutrally are kind of what I want out of a sequel to this movie. You get in more monsters, you have your King Ghidorah, Rodan, Mothra, you have a bigger focus on Monarch, you bring back Ken Watanabe and Sally Hawkins and like make them main characters. Like those are all things I wanted out of a sequel.
Yeah.
And I got them, but I was cursed by the evil genie.
Let me give the maybe slightly different answer to this. I feel like a second movie where maybe we really play up a true conflict where, like, I don't know, a bunch of governments or one government, you know, let's just say the U.S. gets together and say, all right, we know Godzilla's out there. We have to kill him.
Yeah.
We have to kill Godzilla. And Monarch's like, you can't. It's not a thing. You're not going to kill him. And, like, they have a conflict, and then, you know, the U.S. government gins up in a lab, you know, maybe Mechagodzilla, maybe something else. Maybe they find a way to, like, clone one of the MUTOs to make, like, a super MUTO. And you really have that, like, almost like a rematch, but instead you have, like, the evil government, like, playing the strings, and it ends with, like, you know, Monarch empowers Godzilla to see, like, see, it doesn't matter, Godzilla's got to be on your side. And then they're like, we have one last shot to kill Godzilla, and then they do the Kong thing.
That's a very classic Godzilla plot. That would have worked perfectly well.
So
Yeah.
do that, right? Yeah.
And you could even throw in like another MUTO, like Rodan can show up at the end.
Sure.
When they've almost killed Godzilla, and then it's like, oh, whoops. And then now Godzilla has to fight Rodan and this robot monster thing, whatever, that they can't control anymore for some reason. Although that's a lot like this movie, so maybe... I don't want to do Mothra, because obviously Mothra's good, but I also think you need to save King Ghidorah. So is there another, like, good... Or Ghidorah, excuse me. Is there another good MUTO? It's kind of got a different power set than flies around that could be slotted
another good
in.
monster? I mean, I don't know. We could do a Gigan. Gigan's a fairly good Godzilla antagonist who's just straight up evil, but very different. That's the one with the big hook hands and the buzzsaw stomach. Cyclops one.
How do you spell that one? Because I remember looking this up, but I can't find it.
Gigan.
Oh, yeah, sure. This one. That one's pretty cool.
I could see I could see a Gigan movie working.
Now,
he looks dumb and cool.
is Gigan made by the government?
Gigan is made by aliens.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes more sense. Okay.
That's another thing of like the monkey paw that made me get King of the Monsters. It's like a specific thing I wanted is if you're going to do a King Ghidorah, make him a big dumb alien again. And they did it, but it's still a bad movie.
Yeah, that's true. Interesting. Yeah, cool.
What about you, Nando? What would you have? Would you have had a more ideal sequel than what we got?
I mean, I don't know. The movie I want doesn't exist in this universe. Like, they can't make...
Pro-MUTOs, they procreate a lot. You get a lot of babies.
Yeah, I just want a sitcom where they raise their babies at home. Maybe skipping through generations of sitcoms. No, I want a Pacific Rim kind of punch the Godzilla with a big giant robot, but even stupider than the one they're going to make. Like, something where it's like a big giant robot that's not, like... engineered from some of the DNA of the MUTOs. It's just like we built a big robot. Like, I mean, they own Pacific Rim. Now, it wouldn't make sense to have the Pacific Rims come through the rift and find Godzilla. And it wouldn't make sense for Godzilla to go through the rift and find the Pacific Rim. So they can't cross over. But I would say...
Oh, man. Nando, do you want Jet Jaguar to come back?
Well, okay, so is that the guy that... what's the name of the guy... I don't know who Jet Jaguar is, but what's the one that looks basically like a guy? So it's not Jet Jaguar, but it's a lot like him. Ultraman?
Ultraman is another Japanese property. That is, yes, he's like a metal guy who can grow really big for a short amount of time.
So yeah, I want that guy to show up. But yeah, probably Jet Jaguar is closer to what I want.
Jet Jaguar is a blatant ripoff of Ultraman to the point where they can never use Jet Jaguar again because if they do, they will get sued.
Yes, that's exactly what I want.
That's amazing.
Then. Yeah. I want like the dumbest version of that where, like, I don't know. I don't want to say Russia, but Russia builds a robot to kill Godzilla, and like it's just like the government is like, we got to help Godzilla. Maybe like not the government, but maybe Monarch. And they.
I mean, listen, Nando, if you want a third movie with that plot line, there is a character called Mecha King Ghidorah.
Oh, that's
And
right.
That is the terrorist organization led by Charles Dance. Maybe they recover King Ghidorah's body and they build Mecha King Ghidorah.
Well, did they do that?
Who they use to try and fight Godzilla. What?
Isn't that what they did at the end of the last one? I'm pretty sure at the end of the last one there's a post-credit scene where Charles Dance got one of the heads. So maybe not the whole body, but I would assume that's...
So that might even have been the plan, to hint at, like, they're going to build a Mecha King Ghidorah.
I bet that's what the Godzilla, like, robot Godzilla is here in the next one, is like some sort of Ghidorah Godzilla like monster thing.
It's got Ghidorah's brain in it or something.
Yeah. It's going to be a
mess.
King
Ghidorah looks cool as hell, though.
Yeah. Like, all of the designs in the Monsterverse, I've liked. I don't think there's been one that I've been like, that one's not very good. They all more or less hit the mark.
Oh, yeah. Even King of the Monsters, especially. Like, those Ghidorah and Mothra and Rodan's designs are fantastic.
Yeah.
It's part of what tricked me into thinking that movie might have been good before I watched it.
Yeah. I mean, that one is the best example of, like, great monsters, great design, awful human characters that are both unlikable and boring. So I think there's, like, the things that they got wrong about that movie are so easy to just be like, well, don't make it about the kids. Make it about this guy or any of these guys, but not these two. But
Game of Thrones is so hot right now. We got to put Maisie Williams in there.
Well, it's not Maisie Williams. It's the other one, right? It's 11. It's even worse.
You're right. You're right. It's not Maisie Williams. It's sorry.
Stranger
wow, I
Things
mixed
is
up
so
my.
hot right now.
I mixed up my woman actresses who look younger than they are.
Yeah, who will be playing 15-year-olds for the rest of their late 20s. I feel like you could get away with having it be just about Kyle Chandler, his character, or just about I don't know, Ken Watanabe's son maybe, but not what they did.
I wish we hadn't killed Ken Watanabe.
Just have his son take
maybe
up the mantle.
Maybe he can come back. Maybe he'll have lived. I
don't think so. It was pretty definitive.
Yeah, no, I don't think he could have survived the nuclear explosion in the center of the Earth. I don't know how he got... Maybe he got powers, though. What if he's a big, giant guy?
Oh, God.
What if a big, giant Ken Watanabe shows up in Kong versus Godzilla?
Yeah, and just, opens up, through a volcano, and right as Kong and Godzilla are about to fight or something, someone's like, what should we do? And he's like, let me fight. And then he comes in and just beats them both to death, and he's the new king. He's our Titan.
Yeah, that movie, please. That movie all day.
He got Godzilla juice all over him. Something, I don't know. It makes you grow. That movie was great. Any other thoughts about Godzilla 2014?
As much as I ragged on this movie, I really do like it and think it is a quality Godzilla movie. And I can have my gripes, but I do enjoy this movie very much.
Yeah, I think it gets worse as Bryan Cranston leaves. I think there's a big dip in the middle, but the end is pretty cool, and the beginning is pretty cool. And some of the scenes are fun, but I just wish Aaron Taylor Johnson was something more, just a little bit more.
I don't know. I do really like that middle scene, though, where we see how bad Honolulu gets messed up just because Godzilla showed up.
Right, yeah, with the water all drops
I think that's
out.
pretty cool. It gives a really great sense of scale as to just how big Godzilla is.
Does that dog survive?
We don't see it not survive, so yeah, I get checked. Does the dog die.com?
I'm sure Godzilla kills some dogs in that movie.
Does the dog
Hey, they
die?
evacuated San Francisco. There was barely any people in there when he showed up.
That's true.
All right, Godzilla 2014.
A bunch of baby MUTOs were killed, so that's something, I guess.
So does the dog die? No.
Great.
Does an animal die? They say yes because they count the MUTOs and their babies.
Yeah,
so
that feels fair.
Well, so does Nando.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
They're living beings, and I have compassion for all living things. As long as they don't try to come into my apartment.
No matter how many moms they kill, Nando's on board.
That's right. That's exactly right. Yeah, there's parts of this movie that you're right. There's bits that are cool. And the military propaganda part of it does suck. But there's a lot of other parts of it that are pretty cool. So
yeah, I mean, yeah, it could do a lot worse. We see it. We see it like 4 years later.
Yeah.
It's like, you could do a lot worse.
I hope they fixed it for the new one. Like, I hope they learned some lessons.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, as long as Kong vs. Godzilla has a cool Kong Godzilla fight, like at least one,
Yeah.
then it'll be at least tolerable.
We're hoping.
That's my, if anything, that's my biggest problem with King of the Monsters. Is none of the fights are that cool.
The fights all stink.
They'll cut away to the people.
Yeah.
Because they cut away to reaction shots, and it's garbage.
No, yeah, it blows.
It's awful.
At least this movie does have some big... Yeah, like, this movie has, like, far away, wide shots of Godzilla and a monster throwing themselves into buildings or whatever. But, yeah, that movie, every time that's about to happen, we look at some random guy running around by Godzilla's feet, and it stinks. So, yeah, I think they've learned that. I think that lesson has been learned. But beyond that, yeah, they'll have one fight where one wins, one fight where one wins, and then they'll be friends, and then kill the other thing, probably. So it's all about the middle part, where the human characters have to fill space. That's going to make or break for me. But we'll see in a couple of weeks in our houses or in theaters. If you have a place where it's safe, that's probably... Yeah. Fuck it, they should have delayed it.
Or if you're like fully vaccinated, right? Like we're at the point where like some
sure.
people are like fully vaccinated that they could like totally go out to the movies. So yeah.
But like, why didn't they just
wait
like till May?
I feel like when they committed to this, it was really not clear how soon the vaccination stuff was going to happen. So they were just like, March, simultaneous HBO Max release, and then it was just too much of a pain to change it.
It's not too late,
Once
though.
I'm waiting for them to renege. And for like Dune, sorry, gotta go to the theaters.
Oh, I think that's more or less happening. I think they've already half gone back on Dune, but I'm thinking like just push Godzilla King of Monsters back 2 months. May. You're gonna get people.
But then all our Godzilla buildup was wasted.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, think about us. We're the most important consumer here.
I mean, we haven't put this episode out. Excuse me, Warner Brothers. Let's just say Marvel. Warner Brothers, call us. We haven't put this episode out yet, so you can't hear this, but call us and tell us to hold the podcast if you secretly know
FBI agent
that you're going to move
who's listening to us.
Yeah.
Can you forward this to them for us?
That would be
but I totally didn't make a joke at the beginning of this podcast about how it's March.
Yeah, that's true. And also, yeah, there's no FBI agents listening to this episode. Why would they? What interesting things have we said? Nothing. That's what.
I haven't railed against the U.S. government several times already.
Yeah. So that's what we didn't do. So it's government is fine.
You're welcome?
Yeah. You're welcome, America. Salute your Godzilla. Do you guys want to move on to our classic segment? Guys, do you have anything to recommend to the fine people?
I do. So a couple things I'd like to rec. You guys want me to start lighter or heavier?
Heavier.
Yeah, heavier. Mostly because of confusion.
Okay. Okay, so I watched on HBO Max. I guess it's on regular HBO too. Regular HBO also, not regular HBO 2.
No, because there used to be HBO 2. Probably still is.
Is it gone?
The sequel to HBO.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It was where he watched all the stuff 2 hours later, right? Or something? Or was that a different thing?
Well, it's like New Coke. They kind of introduced it as the new brand, HBO 2, but then when people didn't like it, they made a big deal of changing back to HBO Original.
And then they released HBO Max afterwards, which was like even more cool and radical than the first one.
I feel like HBO 2 was, because I know what you're talking about, Nando, and I think that was like HBO East and HBO West.
Oh, okay.
But I think HBO 2 was like, so let's say Game of Thrones came on, and you didn't want to watch Game of Thrones. Here's some alternative programming. You could watch like some HBO Sports documentary.
You don't
want
to watch Game of Thrones, but you absolutely refuse to watch something that's not HBO.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, that's probably a good move late in the game. If you got to watch HBO, see what they got on that isn't Game of Thrones. It's going to disappoint you.
So anyway,
you were watching HBO as well.
HBO as well.
Uh-huh.
And so I watched the Tiger documentary called Tiger. It's it's about Tiger Woods. It's not like Tiger
I love
King
those
or
animals.
anything.
Oh, dang, I didn't get the joke in fast enough.
Sorry. So yeah, it's about Tiger Woods. It is. I watched it because he was obviously in the news with the car crash a couple weeks ago or however long it was ago. And I had heard it was good, and so I decided to give it a watch. And it's so interesting because like they make this documentary, and then he's in the news because of the car crash. And like if this documentary is made today, the last beat of it is probably the car crash. It's amazing he didn't die, and the fact that like who knows if he'll ever play golf again. But the beat they end on in the movie is like him winning the 2019 Masters, which was amazing. But it I didn't know like a ton about like Tiger's like personal life, like anything like outside the golfer, and I had no idea that like a lot of like what he is was kind of like manufactured by his father. Like I just had no idea that it was just for him it was golf from age 2, and like that was it. Like he was on like the Johnny Carson show in the 1970s doing golf with Bob Hope. Like that's how long he was doing golf for. So yeah, it was just kind of interesting to see that side, and just kind of his psyche for just like how when that becomes your life, there's unfortunately kind of consequences to the after effects that when this is all when you don't get to live a quote unquote regular life, sometimes you take part in vices that could be somewhat destroying. And it's interesting to see the many like facets of a person like that who like probably for a run of like almost 20 years was like the most famous person, period, right? Like up there with Michael Jordan. So yeah, that was it was cool. If you if you like sports documentaries of any kind, I'd recommend this movie or this documentary. I think it's good. Like I don't know like exactly what audience it's for, but I definitely enjoyed it. So yeah, give it a shot. Tiger on HBO. It's in 2 parts. It's like a total runtime of 3 hours. What's crazy is like I left it like, oh, it probably could have been longer, but yeah, it honestly you get that feeling, and it's probably okay. They probably timed this well then. So yeah, that's one thing.
Cool, and that's the heavy thing.
That's the heavy. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. Just because like the topics, like they deal with like his arrest in I forget what year it is. I think like in 2011 or something like that, where he had a lot of drugs in his system just from all the back pain. And,
his
like,
world record for most concurrent affairs.
That as well. That as well. So yeah, there's a lot going on there. That like that subject matter. Just if you don't want to watch that, I totally understand. If you want something possibly a little bit lighter and you want to watch some bullshit cooking shows, may I recommend The American Barbecue Showdown on Netflix. It is very similar to the Great British Bake Off, but with barbecue. There is an amazing character on there named Shotgun. He is my absolute favorite, and I just would have watched a whole show featuring him.
What kind of barbecue is he?
Like, what do you mean?
Like, what style?
So I believe he's from either, like, North Carolina or Georgia, but so, like, the South. And he's like, yeah, my name's Shotgun. I do my best barbecue when I'm drunk. I like drinking Colt 45 double malt. It's my favorite thing to drink. I keep it old school on the barbecue. And I'm like, I fucking love you, Shotgun. He's a jacked human being who could probably crush my skull very easily with his giant tree trunk arms.
Ooh.
And, yeah, there's another fun character named Grubbs.
Yeah?
And Grubbs has that vibe where he's almost like who was the character on King of the Hill who like you purposely like couldn't understand because he talked like so fast?
Boomhauer, is that his name or something?
Yeah, Boomhauer. He almost has like a Boomhauer vibe where you can't quite understand what he's saying, and they actually have to subtitle him at some points because he goes into that drawl of, and I man, tell you what, it's gonna be something like this: boom, 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 bing, bing, a chicken, 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 chicken. Yeah, but it's a great show. The characters are way more interesting than the barbecue, but yeah, if you just like good cooking shows that literally had Michelle and I salivating at just looking at some of this barbecue, yeah, it's a nice, cool 8 episodes, some fun characters, and you get to see some cool barbecue.
That's fun.
So, yeah, I always feel like these shows too, like Great British Bake Off, this even like Forged in Fire, even though I would never do any kind of like forging or blacksmithing, I always
never
pick
say
shit
never,
up.
DJ.
That's true.
Yeah.
Who knows where my life could take me? But I always feel like I just pick shit up where it's oh, if I'm ever gonna you know, bake macaroons, you know, how you gotta get their feet, or if I'm ever gonna smoke, make sure that no dirty smoke gets in there. So there's little tidbits that you might just pick up that you never know when they'll come up. So
yeah, we don't want any of that filthy, dirty smoke in our good, clean American smoke.
Yeah.
Dirty smoke's really bad. It fouls up the meat, and once the dirty smoke gets in there, it's impossible to get out.
Preach, DJ.
So,
preach.
Exactly. That's why we can't let that dirty smoke in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, do not let dirty smoke get into your meat. You might smoke a brisket for 6 hours. If you let dirty smoke get in there within the first half hour, you've basically ruined your smoke. So, yeah, gotta keep the smoke clean.
You gotta keep them separate. You know, keep the dirty smoke separate from the meat. That's what you're saying.
Preferably,
we must protect the purity of our meats.
Yes.
Is this show hosted by British people?
No. Oh. Now, the funny thing about this show is it's I want to say it's a lot of Americana, but it's it's basically the South.
Right.
And to their credit, they do a good job of having quote unquote all kinds of people. But insofar as it's all kinds of people from Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Texas, right?
Right.
Steve from New Jersey in his little polo shirt and jeans isn't riding up to American barbecue showdown, right? It's all people from the South.
Wow.
They all sound pretty much the same.
Wow.
And yeah, it's a lot of similar.
Our Tennessee residents, their heads just exploded when you named the 4 places barbecue is from and skipped Tennessee.
I'm sorry.
That's my favorite barbecue. Memphis, it's the good stuff.
So I am not a huge barbecue connoisseur, but I legit said to Michelle, Michelle, this summer, we should take a road trip just down to South Carolina and just get some barbecue.
It's good.
We should just take a road trip.
I have been meaning to go down to Alabama for a while.
Yeah.
So
now I'm hoping to do a Texas trip eventually once all this is over, and then really just eat nothing but that stuff for every day of the week.
Do you want to go together? I have to still go to an Astros and a
maybe
Rangers baseball games. I still got to hit those up on my list.
I mean, it's something that's far enough in my brain that I'm not thinking about it yet, but I guess I probably kind of should. But I don't know. I mean, it's definitely. Screw it. You can go to Texas now. You can go to all the Ranger games you want. But, but I mean, it is definitely something. I think it's probably my next trip in my head. So we'll see. But I'm definitely we can figure something out.
All right.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Diggins, what about you? What do you have to recommend to the fine people?
I just have one. So I have 2 recs that are the same thing, basically. Basically, I'm going to rec one thing that comes naturally with a second rec.
Okay.
Because a podcast just started that I think is going to be extremely interesting.
Okay.
And I want to wreck it. But in order to wreck it, I have to wreck the thing they are talking about also. The podcast is called Bizarre Podcast Dogs Must Die.
Oh, God. That sounds awful.
It is a podcast recapping the existing episodes of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Okay. So that does sound awful, then. No, I'm kidding.
Wow.
Listen, I got nothing against
Get
JoJo's
wrecked.
Bizarre Adventure. It is one of those things where the fans pop up on Twitter and stuff, and you're just all right, they're going to be kind of annoying on purpose, I think, is part of the game of that show. So I've just, in my head, I kind of avoided it. But maybe it's good. Who knows?
Wow. That's a shame, because JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is really fun. It is, of course, originally a manga that has been running since the 1980s. It's still running today. But my main way of consuming it has been through the anime that got started a few years back. The interesting thing about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is that it is segmented into parts. It's very much a kind of what's the word for that?
Serialized?
Anthology.
Yeah.
Where it's explicitly the first part of JoJo is about these two boys in Victorian England. I say boys; they're big, huge muscle men.
Oh, hello, boys!
Because it was the 80s.
The sailors or something like that, right?
BOI boy, Diggins.
Yes.
BOI boy.
No, they're like Victorian gentlemen, but one of them, and they're like adoptive brothers, but one is the purest good boy who ever did live, and one is incredibly evil, and they just fight. And then one of them turns into a vampire, and then they fight more.
And then Ken Watanabe comes in and says, "Let them fight even more."
No, Nando. Then Robert E.O. Speedwagon, locals
Woo!
London tough, comes in, and Jonathan Joestar, the good boy, befriends him, and then he helps him fight the vampire boy.
Wait, hold on. Is REO Speedwagon the band in this?
No, so this is one of the things that's like fun and weird about JoJo, is that the creator Araki has a tendency to name characters after bands for no reason, even when it doesn't make sense, especially when it doesn't make sense.
That's
Okay.
so
Like
confusing.
the main vampire villain who I'm talking about, his name is Dio Brando.
Right.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Did they at least say things like, does REO whatever say like, "I can't fight this feeling, you guys"? I don't know what else they would say. But
No.
that's
The
upsetting.
only reference is the name.
I don't like it.
That's it. It's really
amazing.
good, actually. That's like the tone of JoJo's, where it's bizarre. It's very strange, and he makes a lot of weird choices. But it's also a really good action show, because it's not just about big muscle dudes punching each other. Actually, it gets very into their heads about them thinking about what they are going to do, like tactically, if I do this, then this will happen, and I'll be able to do this, and just like really getting into the detail of that in a way that makes the fights like very interesting, because it's not just this guy punches this guy, and then this guy does an even bigger punch. Whoa! It's like they're actually making decisions and doing interesting things. So it's in some ways it's a very straightforward shonen series of just good punch guys fight bad punch guys. But another way, he has a very unique approach to it that's kept it fresh for the past 30 years or 40 years now. God.
It's impressive.
Yikes.
But also, every part of it very often reflects the anime trends of the time, because it starts with them being big muscle men, because that's when Fist of the North Star was huge and everyone was into big muscle men in anime.
Yeah, baby.
But then as it goes on, they become more of like anime pretty boys as that became part of it. But they're all still muscle men who punch each other. That part never leaves. But anyway, it's very fun. It's very interesting. If you like big goofy anime where dudes punch each other, but with actual interesting unique elements to it, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is really good. And if you want a kind of framework for getting into it, because there is a lot of it at this point, they've adapted through part 5 now, which is when they're in Italy and they're becoming mobsters. But that's so there's a lot of it to go through. So if you want a framework, this podcast I just recommended, Bizarre Podcast, Dogs Must Die, is going through it 3 episodes at a time. They only just started on March 1st, so there's only 1 episode up so far. They're not on Spotify or Stitcher, but you can find them on YouTube if you search the thing I just said. So yeah, that's my rec is this podcast, Bizarre Podcast, Dogs Must Die, and consequently it is also JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, a very fun, silly, dumb anime.
Cool. I'm also going to recommend an anime. Just kidding. I'm going to recommend 2 things.
Oh, you had me.
I'm going to recommend a thing that was kind of a thing. It's not really anime-esque, but well, yeah, definitely not. But I'm going to recommend. So I don't know if you guys saw. They've made a new. So we've talked about on the show in the past, not as episodes, but they've come up as recommendations in the topic of discussions. The CW shows now. The superhero ones, not Riverdale. Screw Riverdale. That's kind of its own thing.
No,
Not like Screw Riverdale, but that's they don't like, I feel like, yeah, Riverdale's like its own genre. These are like this, you know, fucking, I don't even know how to describe it, but like Flash, Arrow, all that stuff. Batwoman, Supergirl, it all falls into the same bucket.
The DC CW universe?
Yeah, something like that. It used to be called the Arrowverse, but he's dead, so who knows? And it's definitely on its way out because, like, it seems like HBO wants to consolidate a lot of that part of the brand. Or Warner Brothers wants to consolidate it under HBO. So, like, they're doing, like, a Green Lantern show that's going to be on HBO, and it's going to be a bigger budget. And I think that's smart because beyond just that these shows aren't high budget enough, like, they could use a bigger budget. I think most of them are also kind of, we've gotten too much of them. Like, they've just run their course. And some of them have been sunset. Like, I think Supergirl is done. If this is not the last, if it's not over yet, the last season is on its way. Arrow is done. I believe Flash is still going strong. I think Black Lightning's done. They recast Batwoman, but I can't imagine that show's going to last for much longer. So, when I heard they were making a Superman show, I said, well, this will be the same as the others. And it's better by, like, an insane margin. How much better it is than how much it...
Superman and Lois show?
What's up? Yeah, Superman and Lois is what it's called. Okay. It's, like, about a different Superman than Man of Steel in terms of, like, he's married... He has kids, and he's also trying to Superman around, and it's really good. Like, there's some, you could kind of catch the action scenes, like, on YouTube or something. You can kind of see some of the things he's doing. It's solid. I don't love that he doesn't have briefs on the suit, but other than that, I think it's a great look for Superman, and the second episode has equally high production values to the pilot, which makes me wonder... when are the production values going to drop off, or is this consistently going to look really good? And it's just got a good heart, which is something that Superman shows and movies need. But you know, that the CW usually does a pretty decent job with that. It's also less episodes. I think a season's like 10, maybe 11 episodes instead of 25 or whatever crazy number they used to have to hit with like the Flash. So there was just a lot of like mulling about and like, oh, this guy gets away and then you have to get him again, and who's this guy? Like, there's much less mystery. So I mean, there's still mystery, but there's much less like wheel spinning. So there's only been 2 episodes. I think it's pretty good. I also want to recommend a movie that I'm surprised. I've talked to many people this last week, people who like, not just like people my age, people a little older who had not seen this movie, even though it's been out, obviously, since, like, 1999, but I thought it was kind of a hit then, or at least it's had its moment to mature. But over the weekend, we were kind of busy, or, like, we were like, oh, what should we watch? What movies? You know, there's not really too much new that's on our radar. I almost watched Tom and Jerry, got really close, but then Amazon Prime, we found one of the movies that's, like, free with Prime was Election. The person I was watching it with has never seen it. But then, like, I was talking to other people, like my dad, never seen it. And I'm like, you watch all the movies. How'd you miss this one? And wow. I want to say somebody else in my life hasn't seen it that really shocked me.
It was DJ.
Well, him too, but I want to say maybe my sister as well. I can't remember. But we've talked about this off air. So DJ's never seen it. Diggins, you've seen it, right?
Yep. Yeah, I've seen it. I love that movie. It's a fantastic movie.
Yeah, it fucking rules. It's so good. It's about, for people that don't know, it is Matthew Broderick. I want to say the year of Godzilla, or right after Godzilla, he made this, because Godzilla's 98. So just when you thought he was done, he managed to throw one last haymaker before he, like, kind of, I don't know, did Christmas with the Cranks and stuff like that, and like the Producers movie. But he's a teacher who's just a nice guy, you know. He's really trying hard to make a difference in the kids' lives, and the kids love him. And then Reese Witherspoon plays a, like, bratty know-it-all student who's like a teacher's pet, and she kind of gets under his skin. And that's the beginning of the movie. And then there is an election for class president that Reese Witherspoon thinks she's going to win, or thinks she should win, and it seems like by all accounts she will. And then Matthew Broderick's character just kind of like, he's had it. He snaps. And what we learn is, like, his character, he's the worst. And it's a really fun movie because you pretty much you figure it out pretty quickly that this guy kind of sucks. And then you just watch him. It's a whole movie of Matthew Broderick stepping on rakes. It's like that big like image of Sideshow Bob surrounded by rakes. It's so great. And it's so funny.
It's kind of a movie about a man ruining his own life and blaming a young girl for it.
Yes.
Which has no parallels to our modern climate and is,
exactly
not anything that you can trace any currents in modern society from at all.
And it's very funny because we kept watching it and going like, oh, that one's James Comey. Wait, never mind. This one's this guy. It was fun. But also it's like it's adult, obviously. But like
it's way more adult than you think it's gonna be.
Yeah, but it's also adult in terms of, like you were saying, kind of it's mature in its themes and it's really got something to say. And
oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's by Alexander Payne, who makes nothing but movies about older men who are sad now. So like it's the most accessible of his movies, I would say. Although I didn't watch that one where What If Matt Damon Was Smaller. I heard it kind of stunk. But it's really worth your time, and if for nothing else, then a character named Paul, who is played by, I don't remember, the guy from the American Pie. I want to say his name is Ox in that movie, but he's great. So it's very fun. I can't recommend it enough, but yeah, you're going in for, like, you're getting involved in something that's it's more complex than your, Mean Girls. But it's got a lot of the same. It will feel like Mean Girls at times, but it's better than not better than Mean Girls was fine, but it's like it's not what you're getting into. So don't get that excited, but get excited for the rest of it, and then you'll love it. So anyway, that's my rec is Election. Yeah, what are we doing next week, guys?
It's a good question.
Well, no, I think it's
Yeah, I actually wanted to ask you that.
We know, right? It's Raya and the Last Dragon.
We're definitely going to do Raya?
Oh, yeah. That is what we're doing? Okay.
Or we could do Coming to America 2, the second one.
Ooh,
but
hard pass.
I mean, I'm definitely going to watch it.
I was figuring
but...
it was between Raya and doing a Justice League build-up.
I know. I mean, it sucks that they're coming out around the same time, but I think it has to be that.
Or doing Skull Island. But we're going to... Okay.
No, we might have time for Skull Island. It's going to be close.
We should. I think it's Raya, Skull Island, then Kong versus
Well,
Godzilla.
when does
I think
Justice League come out?
No, yeah, I think
18.
I think it's Raya. Raya will be out next week.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
And then I think we'll record an
Justice...
episode that is not Justice League, and then Justice League, right?
Yeah, because if the Snyder Cut comes out the 18th, that's before
Yes.
we would usually record.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
that could be Skull Island, or it could be original Justice League.
Wait, what am I saying? So it'll be yeah. So I don't know what we're gonna do. You guys can tell us what you think. Would you want?
Well, we could put up a poll because also there's WandaVision.
Yeah, I think WandaVision we will talk about at the end of next week's episode, no matter what.
Okay.
Because I think next week will just be Disney Plus-a-thon 2021, but also like I don't think people will be talking about WandaVision next week, like 2 weeks from now, but. I'm sure I'll want to get my thoughts out because then it's going to be time for Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and then we're never going to stop getting Marvel stuff until we die.
Have you heard the weird theory that there might be a secret, like, 10th episode of WandaVision? Like, the behind the scenes might be, like, a secret, like, 10th episode.
What are you, a Sherlock truther?
Nah. Well, I had heard that, and I think most of the evidence for it points more to people being accidentally saying 9th or 10th when they mean 9th, but that would be insane if there was
accidentally saying 10th because 9 is a weird number.
Yeah,
and you want to go to the round
number, right?
But that would I am begging. It's already over by now, but if you're a listener of us, I am begging you not to preemptively disappoint yourself by convincing yourself there's going to be more than there is.
However, how cool would it be if the 9th or 10th episode was a making of episode, but the making of episode was also part of the narrative? Like, that would be wild.
Oh, yeah.
Because you could only get away with it here.
Whole thing. Oh, that would be so great. Oh, my goodness.
Where, like, Loki is directing the whole thing, trying to, like, just some completely different character we haven't encountered at all. I
would love that.
That'd be wild. But, yeah, it'll probably just be... I mean, honestly, I think we talked about this, but the making of is probably going to be really cool.
I think so too.
I want all of it. I want to know what shots they copied and like how they found this dress that she wore for this, like, you know, part of the Dick Van Dyke Show one. Like, yeah, I'll take it all. I want to see what all the sets look like for real. Like how much of stuff was faked to look like it wasn't old. Like there's just so much stuff like that. But yeah, so we'll probably talk about WandaVision next week.
All right, cool.
Anything to plug?
For me, same stuff. Roses and Rejections. Check it out in the Pop Prank Podcast Network for all of your bachelor-based needs.
Yeah, and I have my newsletter at alittleperspective.substack.com. By the time this episode goes up, I will probably already have a WandaVision article up.
Ooh.
Describing my thoughts, but I'm going to be topical for once in my life.
There you go.
That's the way to do it. I mean, we don't know what WandaVision will be about. Maybe it'll be about Dark Souls 3, and it'll be like, oh my god, this is perfect for me. It's all the universes are, you know, converging.
I think I've already got my thesis, but I need to see how it lands to make sure that still makes sense and like fully cohere my argument.
Yeah, that is the fun part of making media about stuff like that. And you're like, oh god, how is this going to affect the thing I'm writing? But yeah, there's a lot of opportunity in WandaVision. Anyway, go on, DJ.
No, it's just a plug that has nothing to do with me, but everyone should go watch the Elden Ring leaked trailer.
I should watch it. I still haven't seen it.
Watch it. Yeah, watch it.
We talked about it. Put it in the chat.
Oh, plugs that have nothing to do with me. I have one also. Since we're doing the build up to Kong versus Godzilla and talking about it a lot, it's going to come out after the movie, but there is a King Kong prequel comic that's supposed to bridge the events of Skull Island to Kong vs. Godzilla, which was actually written by a friend of mine. So you should... I forget exactly what it's called. Let me look that up real quick. But if you are a person who likes King Kong and would like to get more of that content, it's called Kingdom Kong. I recommend that because I know my friend is a great writer, and I am certain it is going to be a very fun comic.
I didn't know you were friends with Alan Moore, and it's really impressive that they got Alan Moore to write this comic about King Kong. Is it all about weird mysticism?
He doesn't like me. He doesn't like me to talk about it because, you know, he's a very private person. But I figured for promoting his work, it would be, you know, a decent.
Yeah,
he'd forgive me.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
I mean, you're getting a spell no matter, like, you're getting a curse no matter what. Might as well. That's why Godzilla King of the Monsters was so bad. You know, you told him all the things he wanted, and he did like an evil curse at you.
Right. Well, then I think he owes me telling him about our friendship. Then, if he did me so dirty. That's
true. So if you're listening, Alan Moore, we're sorry, kind of. Well, we're not sorry, but yeah, you know what you did. That is cool. I was going to say, I'm going to recommend my next video. It's going to be about, I've been wanting to make this one for a while, about how much I didn't care for Shaw in the X-Men movie he's in, because he's just Kevin Bacon. But that'll probably be out before this episode airs as well. So then after that, who knows? But then just expect some exciting Justice League content at some point, I'm sure. No way I'm going to let that one go without a video. I'll figure it out. I'm going to get my rent paid this month with the Snyder cuts.
I can't imagine that there will be nothing to talk about.
Yeah, right?
Like, that movie.
I think I could just make a video that's like, wow, and then just like reactions like that the whole time. 10 minutes, that's fine. That's a video. I don't know. I mean, I do think the internet will be a disaster that day, in general, and like that week. Yeah.
I would recommend not going on Twitter unless you love trash like me.
Exactly. I would say that's true of most days.
Yeah, I agree.
If you want to see, you know, who's Mr. Potato Head bullshit, like Twitter is the place for that, I guess. And then just amplify that by 1,000,000 for this. But yeah, so anyway, that'll be a fun video, and Snyder Cut will be fun, and I can't wait. Yeah, next week, Ryan the Last Dragon, and maybe a little bit of WandaVision, probably. I'm excited.
All right, the week of Disney Plus.
Yes. So until then, I am at Nando V Movies on Twitter.
Mad Zippy by day.
I'm at This Is an Odd Name.
Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye. Woo-hoo.
Bye. We love you.